We are live streaming and recording.
All right, thank you very much, Madam Clerk. We'll call the meeting to order at 7:03 p.m. and I am going to ask our Student Council President and Vice President from Beeman Middle School to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Everybody, please rise if you are able.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Your Honor.
Thank you very much, James. Thank you, Tessa. Councilman Pacino.
Yes, if you bear with me, I'd like to just have a few comments. Today is the 78th anniversary of the invasion D-Day, June 6, 1944. And I thought tonight, as the veteran on this council, that we all should just reflect on the prayer that President Franklin D. Roosevelt trumpeted throughout America. And think about our servicemen and women that are serving today also. Almighty God, our sons, pride of our nation, this day have set upon a mighty endeavor, a struggle to preserve our republic, our religion, and our civilization, and to set free a suffering humanity. FDR said resolutely on D-Day, leading a prayer that crackled from radios coast to coast and to service members, occupied nations around the globe. Now here is the challenge for us all. Can we, on this 78th anniversary of D-Day, stir within us, instead of weapons of war, stir within us a call to spiritual arms of love, kindness, tolerance, and respect to use to unite our nation as we all pay tribute to the sacrifice and commitment of our military and veterans of World War II, who made their supreme sacrifice for our freedoms we enjoy today, but are cloaked in hate and disrespect towards those we consider different from us. And I dedicated this to my uncle who died on the Normandy beaches, that it'll never be forgotten. No veteran who died on those beaches will be forgotten. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you for those words and for marking the occasion. And I want to thank again our students who are here with us. They were with us an hour ago for the questions to directors meetings, but these are students behind all of us on the dais from Beeman Middle School who are participating as part of Mr. John Geary's class in Mayor for a Day, which is really today and tomorrow. So it's sort of council meeting for a day, and then we're going to be in City Hall tomorrow, different city departments learning about city government, and we're just very grateful to you, Mr. Geary, and to the whole administration and team at Middletown Public Schools for making this program possible, and to our students for being with us today and helping us in this process. So thank you again, and now we'll, for official business continuing, I'll ask the I'll ask the Council Clerk, Linda Reed, to please read the call of the meeting.
The Chief of Police of the City of Middletown, greetings. By authority of the State of Connecticut, you are hereby commanded to summon and notify Eugene Pino Serra, Megan R. Carta, Jeanette Blackwell, Vincent J. Lafredo, Darnell Ford, Edward McKeon, Grady L. Faulkner Jr., Philip J. Pacina, Anthony S. Gennaro Sr., Edward Ford Jr., Linda Salafia, Anthony Mangiafico, members of the Common Council of the City of Middletown, to attend a regular meeting of said Common Council. Said meeting shall be a hybrid meeting to be held in the council chamber of the municipal building in said city and remotely via WebEx at Join a Meeting, event 2339-204-8767 on Monday, June 6, 2022 at 7:00 p.m. Hereof fail not, but make due service and return to the clerk of said city 3 hours prior to the time of fixed meeting. City of Middletown, May 16, 2022, attested by Honorable Benjamin D. Florsheim, Mayor. City of Middletown, June 2nd, 2022. I hereby certify that I have delivered an attested copy of the foregoing order and attached agenda of the Common Council meeting to each and every council member named above via electronic mail, attested by Chief of Police Eric M. Costa.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I will declare the call a legal call and the meeting a legal meeting. And also joining us in addition to the council clerk via WebEx is our Corporation Counsel, Dan Ryan. And Dan's role as Corporation Counsel is to serve as sort of legal advisor to the Common Council and parliamentarian for the meetings. And Corporation Counsel Ryan, if I could call on you, we have students here who are learning, and we also have a very long agenda ahead of us. If you could unmute and just speak about the rules of procedure involving speaking time and things of that nature, that would be much appreciated. We do. We need.
I'm not able to unmute him. He's got control.
Dan, are you able to unmute on your end?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We can hear you.
Thank you, Mayor Florsheim. I want to speak briefly on two items. One, our council people speaking under the current Common Council rules of procedure, together with Robert's rules, every council person can speak once, and only then can, when everyone has spoken, can a person speak a second time. And as far as speaking more than that, a third time or more, that would have to be voted on. There has to be a motion and a second, and voted upon by the Common Council by a supermajority. And with regard to the public hearing, and those are items obviously only germane to the agenda, each member of the public will be afforded up to 5 minutes to address the Common Council during a public hearing portion of the agenda, and it should not last more than 30 minutes. If the public hearing does, the Common Council can extend it by another 30 minutes by a supermajority vote. And the purpose, these are not new rules. The purpose of this is to make sure that the meeting is efficient and respectful, and basically those are in accordance with the current rules of procedure of the Common Council and Robert's rules, which is incorporated within the current rules of procedure. Thank you very much, Mayor Florsheim.
All right, thank you very much, Corporation Counsel Ryan. I appreciate that. And at this time, we do have some changes to make to the agenda. So I will accept a motion to amend or accept the agenda. Councilman McKeown.
Your Honor, I'd like to offer an exception to Section 11 resolutions and offer a resolution on gun control. And I would like at this time to have our student representative, Dwayne Lucian Yop, read the resolution into the minutes so that it is there. And if we could place that resolution at 11A so that the students may have a chance to see the voting on it, that would be appropriate. Thank you.
right. Thank you, Councilman. The floor is yours.
Whereas the CDC recently released statistics
We
showing
need
the
to have a second and a vote.
Thank you very much. Second by Councilman Pacina, and it is being read. The text of the resolution is being read by the student at this time. So you can vote to amend the agenda. So a vote to amend the agenda. All those in favor, please so signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? My apologies.
It's fine.
Go right ahead.
Whereas the CDC recently released statistics showing the top cause of death in children is firearm-related injuries, and whereas there have already been 246 mass shootings in the United States so far in 2022, and whereas states like Connecticut have created strong laws regulating the sale, possession, and use of firearms and ammunition, particularly those weapons classified as assault or military-style weapons. And whereas other states have far less stringent firearms laws and regulations. And whereas, according to a number of reputable polls, between 84 and 95% of all Americans and 83% of gun owners support background checks for gun ownerships. And whereas residents of the city of Middletown, and particularly students, teachers, and staff of Middletown schools desire to feel secure against the threat of an active shooter. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Middletown that we encourage Governor Ned Lamont and our state legislature to take up in a timely manner in special session if necessary legislation banning the sale and ownership of ghost guns or those firearms that are unsurealized, untraceable, and can be purchased in parts and assembled by the eventual owner. Be it further resolved that the Common Council of the City of Middletown urges our representatives in the U.S. House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate to pursue federal legislations to require background checks and regulation of the sale and ownership of military-style firearms and ammunition. And be it further resolved, the Common Council of the City of Middletown will direct the appropriate city commissions and committees to consider the creation of a firearms buyback program that will be funded initially by a fund of $110,000 and administered by the Middletown Police Department.
Thank you very, very much. That was made on behalf of Councilman McKeown and seconded by Councilman Pacina. Is there any discussion of the underlying? Well, we'll actually discuss the next, because we have voted early to amend the agenda. The agenda has been amended, and we will move on to discussion of that issue as the first resolution later on our agenda. So thank you very much, and we'll entertain any further motions to amend the agenda at this time.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have an amendment to move up our appointments this evening, and Noah is going to read that amendment. Thank you, Noah. Mic for you. There you go.
Moving to resolutions, items 11Q, appointment of health director, to 11B, and item 11R, appointment of public work directors, to 11C. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. That motion was read on behalf of Councilman Nocera. Is there a second? Thank you. Seconded by Councilman McKeown. Any discussion? All right, seeing none. All those in favor of so amending the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Abstaining? All right. Thank you very much. I will entertain any further motions to amend or to accept the agenda as written. Councilman Nocera, do we have any further amendments?
I have no further, and I make a motion to accept the agenda.
All right, is there a second? Councilwoman Blackwell seconds. Thank you very much. All those in favor, please so signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstaining? All right, thank you very much. Agenda is adopted as amended. And we will move on next to a special presentation. I'll recognize Councilman Anthony Mangiafico for that purpose.
Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you, my council colleagues. At this time, I would like to welcome the members of the LGBTQIA+ Commission to stand with me at the podium. Whereas on June 28, 1969, patrons of the Stonewall Inn in Greenwich Village rioted when police officers attempted to raid the popular gay bar around 1 a.m. Since its establishment in 1967, the bar had been frequently raided by police officers trying to clean the neighborhood of sexual deviance. Angry gay youth clashed with aggressive police officers in the streets, leading to a 3-day riot during which thousands of protesters received only minimal news coverage. Nonetheless, the event is credited with reigniting the fire behind America's modern LGBTQIA rights movement. And whereas on December 15th, 1973, the Board of American Psychiatric Association votes to remove homosexuality from its list of mental illnesses, and whereas on April 2nd, 1974, Kathy Kozachenko becomes the first openly gay American elected to public office when she wins a seat on the Ann Arbor, Michigan City Council. And whereas on November 8th, 1977, Harvey Milk wins a seat on the San Francisco Board of Supervisors and is responsible for introducing a gay rights ordinance protecting gays and lesbians from being fired from their jobs. Milk also led a successful campaign against Proposition 6, an initiative forbidding homosexual teachers. A year later, on November 27th, 1978, former city supervisor Dan White assassinates Milk. And whereas in June 1981, the HIV/AIDS epidemic starts, initially little attention is paid to the disease that mainly affects gay men. On July 25th, 1985, movie star Rock Hudson becomes the first celebrity to publicly disclose he had AIDS. He died 3 months later. In 2019, the yearly death toll from HIV/AIDS in the United States was 15,815, despite improvements in treatment. And whereas on December 21st, 1993, the Department of Defense issued a directive prohibiting the U.S. military from barring applicants from service based on their sexual orientation. Applicants shall not be asked or required to reveal whether they are homosexual, stated the new policy, which still forbids applicants from engaging in homosexual acts or making a statement that he or she is homosexual. This policy was asked as don't ask, don't tell. And whereas on April 1st, 1998, Coretta Scott King, widow of civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr., calls on the civil rights community to join the struggle against homophobia. She receives criticism from many for comparing civil rights to gay rights. And whereas on the night of October 6, 1998, Matthew Shepard was approached by Aaron McKinney and Russell Henderson at the Fireside Lodge in Laramie. All three men were in their early 20s. McKinney and Henderson offered to give Shepard a ride home, but they subsequently drove to a remote rural area and proceeded to rob, pistol whip, and torture Shepard, tying him to a barbed wire fence and leaving him to die. Shepard was beaten so brutally that his face was completely covered in blood except where it had been partially cleansed by his tears. He had suffered fractures to the back of his head and in front of his right ear. He experienced severe brainstem damage, which affected his body's ability to regulate his heart rate, body temperature, and other vital functions. There were also about a dozen small lacerations around his head, face, and neck. His injuries were deemed too severe for doctors to operate. Shepard never regained consciousness and remained on full life support. While he lay in intensive care in the days that following the attack, candlelight vigils were held all around the world. Whereas on May 18, 2004, Massachusetts becomes the first state to legalize same-sex marriage. The court found the prohibition of same-sex marriage unconstitutional because it denied dignity and equity to all individuals. Connecticut's Supreme Court legalized same-sex marriage on November 12, 2008. And whereas on December 18, 2010, the U.S. Senate voted 65-31 to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell, allowing gays and lesbians to serve openly in the U.S. military. Whereas on June 26, 2015, With a 5-4 decision in Oberfell versus Hodges, the U.S. Supreme Court declares same-sex marriage illegal in all 50 states. Whereas on June 15, 2019, under the leadership of Christopher Fort, Assistant General Counsel for the City of Middletown, Middletown Pride held its first Pride Parade and Festival, drawing approximately 15,000 people from all over New England, instantly becoming the largest Pride event in the state of Connecticut. Now therefore be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Middletown that the City of Middletown supports the active observance of Pride Month and encourages our citizens to honestly embrace this part of American history for the purpose of ensuring that the goals and ideas expressed in our Constitution may be pursued constructively, safely, and collectively to the benefit with a level of equity, especially as members of the LGBTQIA+ community continue to face targeted discrimination with violence, in particular transgender women of color. And be it further resolved that we are grateful for the ongoing efforts of the members of the City of Middletown's LGBTQIA+ Commission, Middletown Pride, and the people of Middletown, a loving community with open hearts and minds to everyone. Submitted by Councilman Anthony Mangiafico, co-sponsors, every other member of the council, Councilwoman Slafia, Councilman Gennaro, Councilman Faulkner, Councilman Darnell Ford, Councilwoman Blackwell, Councilman Nocera, standing right next to me, Councilman Pacina, Councilwoman Carta, Councilman Lafredo, Councilman Ed McEwen, and Councilman Ed Ford Jr. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Councilman Mangiafico. Thank you very much for reading that. Thank you to our LGBTQIA+ Commission for their role in putting that together and making Middletown Pride a possibility. Motion has been made and seconded. Is there a vote by acclamation? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you very much, Councilman. All right, it is so resolved, and we will move on next to approval of minutes, and after that, we will be opening the public hearing. So do I have a motion for the approval of minutes for the regular meeting at 7 o'clock on May 2nd, 2022?
So move, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
Thank you. That was Councilman Nocera, seconded by Councilman Lafredo. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Thank you. Matter passes unanimously. Is there a motion for the approval of minutes for the special meeting of fiscal year 2022-23 water rates on May 2nd, 2022?
So
So
move, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilman Nocera and Councilman Pacina. All those, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All abstaining? Thank you very much. And lastly, approval. Is there a motion to approve the minutes for the questions to directors meeting of May 2nd, 2022?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor. Councilman Lafredo.
Thank you very much. Motion was made by Councilman Pacina. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? All right, thank you very much. Matter passes unanimously, and we will move on now to our public hearing. And thank you again to Corporation Counsel Ryan for going over the ground rules. But just to add to that a little bit with our virtual setup here, anybody wishing to speak may do so. If you are in the council chamber, you can do so by approaching the podium. If you're watching virtually on WebEx, you can use the hand raise function. The council clerk and myself will be keeping an eye on the queue, and we will do our best to fairly go back and forth between in-person in the chamber and folks who are virtuals. I'm going to ask council clerk, do we want to jump in there?
Yes, please. There's also a small box on the top of the podium. So for those who are present in the chamber, if they have a written statement, it would be helpful for purposes of the minutes if they could just deposit their written statement in that box. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Madam Clerk. And just to reiterate, that we ask that all comments be kept to matters pertaining to the agenda this evening, and for folks to keep their remarks to 5 minutes or less. And without further ado, we will open the public hearing. Anybody wishing to speak may approach the podium at this time. And we do already have somebody coming up to the podium. I see we have hands raised on WebEx as well. So we'll start right here in the chamber, and then we will go next to Ann on WebEx.
So good evening, Mayor and members of the council. My name is Krishna Winston, and I live at 655 Bow Lane. I'd like to address two items on tonight's agenda. First, to item 11R, the appointment of Chris Holden as Director of Public Works. Mr. Holden has an excellent grasp of the numerous complicated projects and operations of the Public Works Department. His detailed knowledge, his technical expertise, and his fair, thoughtful, open, collaborative, and constructive working style make him a valuable asset to the city and the community. I enthusiastically support this appointment, and I urge you to appoint a deputy director with an engineering background, the kind of background that made Mr. Holden so effective as deputy director. Now to item 11G, the planned sale of the two parcels at 395 Country Club Road to Middletown Youth Soccer and Sporting CT. I've done as much research as I could in the short time since I learned about this sale, which is being rushed through without compliance with City Ordinance 1321 or sufficient opportunity for the public to become fully informed and be heard. I would argue that this $1 sale, which is actually a giveaway, doesn't serve the best interests of the taxpayers of Middletown and their children or protect our natural environment. True, MYS does provide opportunities for many children to sign up for soccer programs through Middletown's Recreation Division. But if MYS gains full possession of the Country Club Road property, who will benefit from the improvements MYS plans to fund with bank loans? Primarily, the children and adults who take part successfully in the tryouts and can afford the hefty fees. I've been told that those fees can amount to thousands of dollars per season. Where do the participants in these programs come from? From anywhere in Connecticut. I've seen no mention of a preference or priority for Middletown residents. Sporting CT advertises itself as the premier soccer program in central Connecticut, and it aspires to emulate FC Barcelona, an internationally renowned professional organization. This is an elite program. It's not a program for ordinary citizens and their children. How does MYS propose to repay the bank loans it wants to take out? The source of revenue would have to be sporting CT programs, not the recreation programs. Yet because sporting CT exists under the umbrella of MYS, which is a nonprofit, it would owe no taxes to the city. Almost every document I've seen mentions that these parcels received open space funding. The purpose of designating land as open space is to protect it from residential and commercial development. Open space performs crucially important environmental functions, which I can't go into here. But if MYS/Sporting installs 3 more synthetic turf fields, as is clearly its intention, that amounts to paving over several acres, destroying the web of life in the ground underneath. Exposure to the substances in the turf and the infill, and to the chemicals applied to kill infectious organisms, poses a variety of health dangers to the players, coaches, maintenance workers, spectators, families back home, and both wild and domestic animals. These are only a few of the reasons I have for opposing this giveaway. This formal meeting doesn't really allow give and take between residents and elected officials, and as we've just heard, there's a time limit on the public comment section too. We need much more time for learning the facts and having all our questions answered. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. We will go next to Anne on WebEx. You will be unmuted, and we'll go next to somebody in the chamber.
Good evening, Council. Anne Gregg, Manager of Senior Services and UPSU Local 6457 President. I'm speaking tonight in both capacities. First, as UPSU President, I wanted to speak in favor of the job description changes listed as items 11L, Deputy Director of Public Works, and 11O, the Director of Economic and Community Development. The city HR office did include the union in the review process of these positions and listened to and incorporated the majority of our feedback. Secondly, in both capacities, I'd like to speak in favor of item 11Q, the appointment of Kevin Elak to the Director of Health and Vital Statistics, and in favor of item 11R, the appointment of Christopher Holden to the Director of Public Works. As the manager of senior services over the past 2+ years, I witnessed firsthand Kevin Elak's tireless work, dedication, follow through, and commitment to the community to lead us through the pandemic as acting director of health. With information changing minute to minute and the daily uncertainties and panic, he forged a path forward. He was and continues to be open to any and all brainstorming and collaboration that helps serve this community. Some of the collaborative ideas even ended up becoming models that were implemented in other cities and towns across the state. He is a humble and kind man who has been in the longest job interview of his life. He mobilized the Medical Reserve Corps and led the efforts to administer 15,000 COVID vaccines to the community at over 275 clinics. He worked days, nights, and weekends for years. He is so mindful in making sure the community's most vulnerable populations get taken care of, and he fully supports meeting people where they are so they can receive critical medical services. As a colleague, as a senior advocate, and as your current union president, I commend you. I know tonight the council will vote for your permanent appointment to the position, and I look forward to continuing our partnership to serve Middletown's aging population. I also speak fully supporting Christopher Holden's appointment to the Director of Public Works. He is a man without an ego, an incredibly talented engineer, and is always willing to help any department with building needs. His commitment to public service goes far beyond his workday. You can find him almost any weekend volunteering his time for a number of civic organizations out in the trenches helping the community. He has already done such amazing things in his time as acting director, and once fully staffed will be able to help shape the future of public works in this city. He's currently helping our department oversee the new rec center. Promotions from within, like the two I've spoken about tonight, are best practice for the city. With little learning curve, they can hit the ground running, allowing seamless continuity of services to the community we serve. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anne. We will go next to our next speaker in the chamber. So anybody wishing to speak may approach the podium at this time. We'll return to WebEx after that. I see we have hands lining up. All right. Please. And
I'm sorry, I'm so slow. I'm Ellen Lukens. I've lived here in Middletown for quite a while, live on 46 Pine Street. I feel a hearing is definitely needed on the issue of the soccer fields. And I must admit it's with disappointment that I've come here tonight, because I feel in preparation for all of this that all of us haven't gotten and haven't been able to get all the facts. It appears that these lands, a great portion of one of the valued greenways in Middletown. These greenways are an important conservation designation in the state. The corridors are part of the open space and are on the open space map. If you wish to look at the map, they're shaded in red, white with red lines. This is very important, as you know, to the city of Middletown. We've had lots of bonds for the purchase of open space And people have said in many surveys that they like the atmosphere of Middletown, partly because it has a number of rural areas, and they can only remain rural, obviously, if they're protected. I shouldn't say obviously, but if they're protected. The money from the open space and recreation bond were awarded to accomplish various projects at the site. The adjacent 18 acres had been given to the city for open space preservation. I believe the land that MYS has soccer fields on is about 17 acres. The 18 acres, should be respected as of environmental significance. And in the beginning, in 2005, and I was around then, it wasn't. All of the above lands should never be sold. They really should be preserved as much as possible for open space. It is much more beneficial to the Middletown taxpayers to use at least these adjacent 18 acres for passive recreation and to save a portion of this land, the 18 acres at least, for the Greenway. Again, the hearings are needed. Please don't approve this resolution. And to those of you who previously voted against the resolution, thank you. And as a side to you older members, Cajun Coley is watching you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll go next to John Hall on WebEx.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Mayor Florsheim and members of the Common Council, my name is John Hall. I was a resident of Middletown for 21 years, and though I now live in Portland, I'm the executive director of the Jonah Center, based here in Middletown. I also wish to speak first on item 11R, the appointment of Chris Holden to be the Director of Public Works. Like others, I have had the pleasure of working with Chris in his capacity as acting director, in my case on matters relating to tree planting and tree care, and on the Newfield Corridor, multi-use trail, and other bike pedestrian issues. I want to just say that he's been very responsive, very clear about the complex issues these projects involve. He knows the community very well, and I believe the city will be very well served by Chris in the role of director, and I'm very relieved that this is happening this evening. I also wish to speak about 11G, to rescind the May 2nd council resolution on the transfer of the Country Club Road property. I want to begin by thanking Krishna Winston and for her comments tonight. Also thanking you, Mayor Florsheim, as well as Liz Holder, the chair of the Conservation and Agriculture Commission, and Councilman Lafredo and McKeown for all of these actions you have all taken that have allowed this to be on the agenda tonight. I watched the May 2nd council meeting, and in that meeting, someone who supports the transfer said that transferring a property to avoid $75,000 per year in maintenance costs is not the right way to think about this issue. And I am quite open that that isn't the way to think about the issue, and I can imagine that it's not many ways in which this might not be the right way to think about it. The problem is we, the public, haven't really heard what the right way to think about it is. There's a long history to this property, as others have alluded to. There have been many actions taken over past decades by council members, mayors, and department directors who are no longer in office. And so one question I'd like to have clarified is, how does today's decision relate to those prior decisions? Is it really controlled or determined by those prior decisions? And Obviously, there is a long history to the relationship between the city of Middletown and Middletown Youth Soccer. Middletown Youth Soccer provides a real service to the community, which I acknowledge, and it's valued by many residents. But there is a lot of suspicion about this whole chain of events. Were voters misled by the bond ordinance that allowed the city to purchase the property from Middletown Youth Soccer for exclusive use by Middletown Youth Soccer? And then the city invested more in improvements to the property. How much do that purchase price and improvements add up to? How much does the city have invested in this property? And is this transfer ultimately to the benefit of a for-profit entity? So those are some questions I am interested in hearing the answers to. And as I said, there may be a good explanation for all of this, but the public needs to hear it and be able to ask questions about it in a public forum that has been requested. So for the sake of transparency and public trust in government, which is, by the way, suffering these days, I urge the council to vote yes on item 11G to rescind the May 2nd resolution so this public airing and conversation can take place. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. We will return now to the chamber. Anybody wishing to speak may approach the podium. Sorry to interrupt you, but somehow got turned off. Hi, I think that we need a new mic. They're coming right out. Sorry about this, folks. All right. If you're amenable to this, we can entertain a commenter from WebEx while we resolve the problem in the chamber. Thank you very much to staff, and we'll continue our meeting. Our next hand raised on WebEx is Jane Barman.
Everyone, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Perfect. My name is Jane Browerman, and I live at 27 Summit Place, and I am speaking on behalf of the Middletown Commission on Conservation and Agriculture. We were asked to read our letter, our official letter, into the record at tonight's meeting. I'm speaking on item G, rescinding the vote that took place in May about transfer of the Middletown Youth Soccer to Middletown Youth Soccer of the parcels on Country Club Road. And thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I will read the letter into the record now. Dear Mayor Florsheim, we are writing to you today to respectfully request delaying the resolution conveying map lot 070497 and 070498 from the City of Middletown to the private organization Middletown Youth Soccer, Inc., Sporting Connecticut, until a full and proper vetting of the transaction is done, including all the appropriate commissions. The Commission on Conservation and Agriculture held an emergency special meeting to address these concerns on Monday, May 16, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. Our membership was in unanimous agreement about the following concerns. 1, we are concerned about the precedent that would be set by the virtual giveaway of open space sold for $1, which was purchased by the city with open space and recreation bond funds. The city has spent a considerable sum of money on the acquisition, $400,000 in 2004, and the improvements, $355,000 in 2011 to this property. 2, the purpose of these bond funds was to acquire open space property that Middletown residents would have access to. We see no evidence that the sale of this property does anything but remove land from public access as the funds were originally intended. 3, we strongly protest the failure to consult with the Commission on Conservation and Agriculture, as this is clearly within the Commission's purview and see ordinance and state statute. 4, we respectfully request that the Commission on Conservation and Agriculture has an opportunity to perform our due diligence within our purview by reviewing any potential conveyances of city-owned open space. 5, we request clarification on the ongoing maintenance costs, $78,000 per year, which have been used as justification for the sale, which do not seem to be part of any lease agreement. 6, we request to make the open space portion of this property truly accessible to the public for passive recreation, as the resolution conveying this land to the city intended it to be. Please contact me if you have any questions. The Commission would be happy to meet with you to discuss this at your earliest convenience. In the meantime, we urge you not to approve this giveaway of Middletown open space. And this was signed, sincerely, Brian K. Gartner Jr., Chairman, Middletown Commission on Conservation and Agriculture, with the members of the commission listed: James Miller, Kate Miller, Elizabeth Holder, Ellen Lukens, Judy Konopka, Robert Daniels, Barbara Shikoski, Michael Meyer, Michael Thomas, and myself, Jane Browerman, with a list of CCs. Thank you very much for the opportunity to make this an official part of tonight's, the record of tonight's meeting. And also, thank you again for the opportunity to speak.
All right, thank you very much for those comments, and we'll go back to Mr. Giuliano.
I think we're alive now. As I said, I wanted to offer my congratulations to Chris and Kevin on their anticipated confirmation. They've both acquitted themselves admirably in their acting capacities, and I think it's time to finally solidify their positions in those departments. I'm also here to speak on 11G. I was in office in 2011 when the arrangements were made whereby the city would get title to the Country Club Road site and lease back the property for 50 years. At that time, what had been contemplated, and this was negotiated before me, so I had nothing to do with that, but youth soccer would build the fields and the city would maintain them. The fields were under construction, and the superintendent of parks at that time, John Millardo, came to me with concerns about the way the fields were being constructed. And his concern was that proper drainage wasn't being put in, the infrastructure for those fields was not going to be adequate, and while we had the obligation to maintain them, it was going to be almost impossible to do so if the fields continued to be constructed that way. So we met with Middletown Youth Soccer, and pretty much the upshot of the meeting was that if the city was going to take control over the construction of the fields, and probably going to make up the difference between what Middletown Youth Soccer was going to pay to build those fields and what it was going to take to do them correctly, that we should really own the fields. We had no problem giving them a lease back that would give them virtual total control and total use of what was going on. But should anything happen to Middletown Youth Soccer, we didn't want the fields to be, the title to this property to be in a state of limbo. And that's pretty much the way things have been going ever since. Now, I'm also the grandparent of a child that plays Middletown Youth Soccer. And just as an aside, I don't know where thousands of dollars come from. He pays $90 to play soccer, and he pays another $30 for his uniform shirt, which he gets to keep. So it's I don't know what, I imagine there are different levels in youth soccer where the cost of playing and the level of play is much higher. But for the average kid in Middletown that wants to play soccer, it's youth soccer pretty much opens it up to everybody. The situation that we're at right now is that if this is rescinded, we go back to the status quo, which means for the next 40 years, the city has to maintain these fields. And I can tell you right now, the city is not living up to its obligation to maintain those fields, as anybody who's brought a child out there to play will see. What this does, this was Middletown Youth Soccer's property to begin with. These various arrangements were made to try and come up with a solution that would benefit everybody. And right now, I don't think we have come up with a solution that will benefit everybody. And this is one that will. It will get the obligation to maintain off the city's back. It'll be a facility that Middletown Youth Soccer will have to improve and maintain with its own funds or with its own obligations rather than look to the city to do. Finally, as to the impact of the city ordinance through referring transfers of property to the Economic Development Commission, I believe that ordinance came into place really at the urging of then Councilman David Bauer. And what it contemplated were transfers of property that had commercial value. This certainly doesn't, especially with a 40-year lease remaining on it. But beyond that, every member of the Economic Development Commission is a member of the Common Council. So what's the surprise? That it hasn't gone before the Economic Development Commission. Everybody who would have heard it has heard it. It has also received the 8-24 approval from the Planning and Zoning Commission. So I don't think the rescission and using the Economic Development Commission referral as a peg is a very solid ground to stand on. So I would hope that those who voted to transfer this property stand by their votes. And let's move on with this. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I will note that we're approaching our 30-minute threshold, so I'll entertain a motion if there is one from the council to extend the public hearing. Thank you very much. There's Councilman Nocera and Councilwoman Blackwell. All those in favor, please so signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you very much. Matter passes unanimously. We will continue with the public hearing, and our next speaker on WebEx is Janet Brooks. We will bring you up and hear from you. You should be unmuted.
Hello, my name is Janet Brooks. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we are. You may proceed. Thank you.
I reside at 290 Old Farms West, and I'm speaking on behalf of my husband, Alan Siniscalchi, and myself. We are opposed to the vote that occurred by Common Council members to give away 35 acres of city open space land at 395 Country Club Road to a special interest group in a non-competitive bid process for the purchase price of $1. I have been an environmental attorney for 40 years. My husband was a member of the Middletown Conservation Commission in 1990 and chaired the subcommittee that served to evaluate the first set of open space parcels that were purchased with city money. Question number one, who determined that the giveaway of the city open space land was in the public interest? On the contrary, our state legislature determined that, quote, 21% of the state's land area shall be held as open space land. That's Connecticut General Statute, Section 23-8, subsection B. The legislative goal is for the state to acquire and protect 10% of the state's land as open space, and the remaining 11% of the state legislative declaration is on the municipalities, as well as land conservation organizations and water companies. So to carry out that declaration, the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection estimated that approximately 562,000 of those acres have been protected by the state or its partners. To meet this additional goal, including to meet the goal of the 11% for municipal partners, the municipalities will need to acquire and protect over 100,000 additional acres. Question number 2. Does the city of Middletown want to be known as a city that turned its back on the state's target and gave away its open space, making it more difficult for the state, other municipalities, and land conservation organizations to realize this goal? When we were confronted with a similar crisis on the state level, when then Governor Malloy and his deep commissioner in the final hours of a legislative session proposed to swap state Connecticut River waterfront property in Haddam for interior woodland, and the General Assembly at the last minute, really in the last hours, approved it, a public uproar broke out. After everyone flexed their muscles and voted, we amended the state constitution that prohibits the legislature from transferring state property without a public hearing. And if the land is owned by deep, then a supermajority must approve the transfer. That's Amendment 23 to the Connecticut Constitution. Will we be forced down this same path if we are not heard by the council now? There are numerous issues that beg consideration. Is the current use of the open space providing open space access to all residents or just those of a special interest? Is the cost of maintaining the current use of the open space property too high? In other words, should other uses more compatible with passive use by more residents be considered? How is the city preparing, and how is it prepared to meet state open space goals for municipalities if it is intent on divesting itself of already acquired open space land? There is clearly more work to be done here. So please rescind this vote and institute a plan to bring the municipal stakeholders to the table, the Commission on Conservation and Agriculture at the very least, as well as residents representing a wide variety of interests. And please schedule it excluding the 10 weeks of the summer school break when many people are on vacation. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much for those comments. We will go next excuse me, point of order from Councilman Gennaro.
Just due to the students we have here tonight, I'd like to just take a quick recess and then continue with the public forum so we can have them be dismissed from the chambers tonight so they can go home, get some rest, because they're coming back tomorrow for their duties here with some of the other staff and council members.
All right, thank you, Councilman Gennaro. We have a motion for a 5-minute recess. Is there a second? Thank you, Councilman Ford. All those in favor? All right, thank you very much to our students. We will reconvene at 8:07.
Dan, we're leaving your microphone off during the break so that no sound is being transmitted. Excuse me, Mr. Chair, Mr. Mayor, do you want to resume the meeting? Should we go live again?
We can stand by, Madam Clerk. We'll just get everybody back underway, and I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. I'm going to ask council members to take their seats. We will call the meeting back to order at 8:12, and we're continuing with our public hearing. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Looks like we are back live streaming and recording. So we'll continue with our public hearing at this time. We were in the chamber when we halted, so the floor is yours, ma'am, and thank you very much.
Testing. Oh, great. I'm Marty Lohman, 21 Overlook Avenue, and I'm here to speak on 11G. So to Mayor Florsheim and to the Middletown City Council, I wish to say the $1 giveaway of the 35-acre, 395 Country Club Road property must be stopped. Previously, I incorrectly assumed that these 4 soccer fields were for the use of Middletown Youth Soccer, where our teams practice and play in the same manner as Little League Baseball. But I was wrong. Now, all this information that I'll be citing on this paper is from Sporting Connecticut website. Okay, so I shall assume that it's correct. Instead, most of the scheduled time slots at the Country Club Road soccer fields are filled by Sporting Connecticut's playing teams, and the property is not accessible to the public who own it. Is Sporting Connecticut improving the interest, participation, skill level, and love of the game of soccer? Absolutely. But for its members only, which costs each player between $1,400 and $2,500 a year. Check out the website. It's on the website. Sporting Connecticut's College Pathway program seems very beneficial for parents hoping to get scholarships for their soccer players. But it, too, is for members only. We must neither sell this prime real estate nor spend hundreds of thousands of dollars maintaining this field for the free use of Sporting Connecticut. Why are we privatizing our land to this organization? This robbery of public resources must stop. On behalf of the citizens of Middletown, I strongly advocate for the following. Rescind the Common Council giveaway vote. Do not sell or give away our 35-acre Country Club Road property. Why not lease this 35-acre property to Sporting Connecticut at a rate high enough to add dollars to our tax base and to pay for its own maintenance? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will go next. I think that we have hands still raised on WebEx. Yes, we do. So we will go next to WebEx. Kathy Branch Stebbins, you are unmuted. Looks like you might be muted again, actually. There.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
We can, yes. Go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
Members of the council, mayor, my name is Kathy Branch Stebbins, and I'm here to speak on 11G. At the time of this bond referendum, I was the president of the Middletown Schools Association, coordinating the efforts of 11 PTAs in Middletown. Also, I'd like to have you note that my background is in nonprofit administration and state and federal grants management. I'm urging the council to stop this land sale. It seems like everyone hates the original deal and that they feel like there's nothing that they can do about it now. I firmly disagree. I remember at the time of the referendum that I was told that it was a good deal for the city because the city would not have to pay for field maintenance or field improvements. Obviously, that did not happen. The city did all of that. The city has been the cash cow of this nonprofit, private nonprofit, for all of these years. I do not understand the unusual privileges of this particular nonprofit organization. This deal was never a good deal for Middletown taxpayers. It was only good for a private nonprofit and families with children who play soccer. The best interests of the citizens of Middletown were never a primary consideration here. Taxpayers were only the ones signing the check. It is time to make the taxpayers of Middletown whole again in this deal. I would be very surprised if the open space funding that the city received did not come with deed restrictions or conditions on the future use of the land. Someone needs to check that grant agreement. Why doesn't the city attorney or the grants department director do some research before you vote to sell the land for $1? Because we don't know the answer to that question right now. And let's talk about leasehold improvements and whether they have any value. After 25 years, the bathrooms that somebody's going to build have to be torn down and rebuilt. Same thing with bleachers, scoreboards, and refreshment stands. They don't stand up over time. They don't add permanent long-term value to the land. So why should the city have to pay for any of that? If the land is to be sold, I suggest that the council require a fair market appraisal of the land in question and ask the private nonprofit to pay the fair market value to reimburse citizens. Residents should get back what they originally put into it and some appreciation. The last thing I'm asking the council members, many of whom who I know, is to think about the future. I am on the board of the Middlesex County Historical Society, and history gives us a different perspective sometimes. We do not know what the future will bring. Citizens of Middletown may really need this land in 100 years. We may really, really need this land in 200 years. We may need to grow food for people or use it as a solar field to generate energy or something that we have no concept of right now, something we can't even imagine today. So let's keep the land in case we need it. Lease it back. I'm urging the council to keep this property. Let the nonprofit do their own maintenance, as they were expected to from the very beginning. Expect the nonprofit to perform like any other nonprofit organization must perform. And we are not stuck. That's the last thing I just want to say. And I also want to reach out to Councilmember Phil Pacina, my friend, and say to you, if you're worried about the city getting sued, then let them sue us, because maybe it's in the courts that this bad deal finally gets straightened out. Somebody has to stand up for the best interests of the residents of the city of Middletown. The choices are very simple. We either keep our land or we get paid fair market value for it. The citizens of this town that paid for this land through bond referendum did not do it to give it away. Thank you, members of the council. I also want to remind some of the older members that Arlene Rich is watching you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll continue with our public hearing here in the chamber.
Stephen Devoto, 476 Country Club Road. I live about 3 lots away from the fields, so it's very local to me. I want to address one issue that came up earlier, and that was a statement by former Mayor Giuliano that this land has no commercial value. Last year, as chair of planning and zoning, I got a phone call from out of town from somebody who was considering purchasing, I think he said 20 to 30 acres of land in the city. And he asked how Planning and Zoning Commission would view a private, for-profit recreational fields, athletic fields operation. And I reviewed with him our zoning code, and he seemed satisfied. I don't know if anything is coming of that, but this demonstrates to me that that land that is restricted for soccer fields has a commercial value. I don't know what that value is, and I think my plea to you is that you find out what that value is before you vote to sell it. Your fiscal responsibility to the city is your primary duty. Fiduciary responsibility is something that I hear Phil Pacina say, I hear Eugene Nocera say. That's a paramount responsibility of yours, and I haven't heard what this land is assessed at, given its conditions. And I feel it would be irresponsible for you to sell this land for less than it's worth. It may be worth $1, in which case, if the citizens know, I think that's maybe the right decision. It may be worth $10,000, it may be worth $100,000. I don't know, and I don't think you do either. One other, actually, I'll just stop there and just ask you to fulfill your fiduciary responsibilities to the city and determine the fair market value of the land. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We will go next to WebEx. We have Brian Stewart next in line, and you will be unmuted momentarily.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. You have the floor.
Excellent, thank you very much. My name is Brian Stewart. I'm speaking from my residence at 27 Summit Place in Middletown. And I'm speaking to address item 11G, the motion to rescind the sale of land on Country Club Road. Middletown Youth Soccer is a fine organization that serves hundreds of individuals in central Connecticut who have an interest in soccer. However, the city and its ongoing urge to serve this one constituency has created a terrible look, which has been developing over a period of years. As I understand it, the city bought 17 acres from Middletown Youth Soccer in 2005 and combined 18 acres of city-owned land with it, leasing the combined property. The most recent 2011 lease is for 25 years for $1 a year. But less than halfway into the lease period, the city now proposes to transfer all 35 acres to Middletown Youth Soccer for $1. This is not a good look. In its most recent publicly available tax form, Middletown Youth Soccer lists annual revenue averaging about $1 million a year for the previous 5 years and net tangible assets of about $1.6 million. This is a healthy organization with considerable means, and I wonder what the negotiation looked like that resulted in the transfer of public land for far less money than it is worth and that would be fair, after the city paid over $750,000 for the land and improvements to it. How is this good stewardship of the city's financial and property resources? This is not a good look. When members of the public learned that city funds were to be used to construct artificial turf fields on city property, they protested, and the city agreed to put into the open space bond language that funds would not be used for that purpose. It then looked the other way when those fields were ultimately built on the city fields by Middletown Youth Soccer. This contravened the intent of the bond language, if not the letter, and was definitely not a good look. I have read claims that MYS is undersupported by the city. If so, why is it that Mayor Florsheim reports that the city is spending $78,000 a year maintaining the property for Middletown Youth Soccer? And how is that money being spent? This matters because the entire immediate issue seems to be to get out from under this onerous expense. But I have seen nothing requiring the expense, or any kind of expense whatsoever on the part of the city. All this is not a good look. And those expenditures on maintenance, whatever they were used for, were provided, even though Middletown Youth Soccer did not permit access to the land by the public paying for it. That is not a good look. Let me take a moment to explore a matter I have not heard considered before now. The current lease requires Middletown Youth Soccer to return the land to the city restored to its original condition at the end of the lease period. That would include the removal of the artificial turf fields. If the land is transferred to Middletown Youth Soccer, it is of course possible that it will be sold for profit immediately. If it does not sell it, however, Middletown Youth Soccer might eventually no longer require use of the land. It might even cease to exist. In the meantime, it probably will have built more artificial turf fields. So my questions to consider are, is this a way of getting around the prohibition against doing so on city open space? If so, that's not a good look. And does the sale agreement require restoration of the land in the event that Middletown Youth Soccer ceases to use it for recreation? If not, the city will be acquiring future liability while hoping to rid itself of present liability. That would not be a good look. It is true that the public had its chance to weigh in at the time of the first vote. That should not mean that the citizens of Middletown are supposed to scour the agendas of the council and the commissions on the lookout for bad deals and then show up to oppose them. I personally believe that's the job of our elected representatives. To suggest that the public was asleep and so nothing can be done would not be a good look. In fact, the city's requirements for consultation with its own commissions were not met, which is not a good look, and the Conservation and Agriculture Commission opposes the sale. That is not a good look. With so many things that don't look good, we all want to know the truth, but we aren't getting as much help as we need from our public officials who could be sorting this out collaboratively for themselves and for us, or for that matter, from Middletown Youth Soccer, which could make a careful public written statement of its own case. That would be very helpful. Listening to the comments that have been made this evening makes it even clearer that we need to know more. I request that the council rescind the sale for now and prepare a complete and correct account of the situation that will pass muster with the public if it wishes to move forward again. That is all that can be done at this point when the situation has become very muddied. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. We'll now go next to the chamber. Anybody wishing to speak may approach the podium.
Mr. Mayor, council members, my name is Steve Crouch. I'm a Middletown resident and I'm a board member of Middletown Youth Soccer. And I'm here to ask you to follow through with the first decisions you made on transferring the fields back to us. There's so much misinformation going on that nobody knows the truth here. The truth is that was our property. We deeded it to you in order for you to maintain it. You haven't done that. We've had grass 3 feet high along the fence, the whole fence line. People are saying we're taking open space. We developed 12 acres. 2/3 of that is still open space, and it can't be developed because it's wetlands and hills. So that meets every obligation that last lady had talked about in reference to open space. We have tried to be good partners with the city, but it seems like every time we turn around, we try to make an improvement, we're attacked by somebody with misinformation. As far as that being purchased for open space land, that was not purchased for open space land. That was a barter that we made with a private developer, that we traded our property on Bow Lane to this private developer. We got 18 acres, city got 17. We developed 12. The rest is still there. Why we put a fence up is because of damage that was made by RTVs that were driving up there and tearing up our fields. We had to put a fence up. Also, the city locks its fields. And also, Little League does have travel teams with outside players. I was a Little League umpire for 14 years. And they've got to have outside players in order to make their teams. And I'm glad they do. Every sport has travel teams. And yes, our select travel team, it's $1,400 to $1,600. But our rec is $90. All our rec, all 600 to 800 kids play up at Country Club Road. It's not strictly just for sporting. And that's misinformation that's being given to you. And I could go on and go on and go on, but I'm getting upset. And I will sit down and talk with anybody and explain to them the past 20 years that we've been putting into this. 20 years it took us to develop this. And now everybody seems to be upset with us. And I just don't understand it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. We'll go next to, we do have a hand raised on WebEx, so we'll go next to Tisha, and then we'll come right back to the chamber. But we're gonna do somebody on the screen will go first, and then we'll go right back to the podium. So, Tisha Z, you are unmuted, and the floor is yours.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I have a statement to read on behalf of myself, and then I have another statement from Liz Holder, who could not attend tonight because she is recovering from surgery. So I too am opposed to selling 35 acres of open space for $1. Open space is a valuable asset that Middletown has been working hard to acquire. Why would we sell this property for $1 after paying to purchase the property and investing thousands of dollars in taxpayer money for improvements? Since this is listed as open space, a proper review should be conducted by our own Commission on Conservation and Agriculture. Additionally, in line with Ordinance 13-21 on the sale of Middletown public property, approved by the Common Council on June 7, 2021, the Economic Development Committee should review the proposed sale and whether or not this is truly in the interest of Middletown residents. Please rescind the former vote to ensure an adequate review by appropriate committees, as well as to hold a public forum so outstanding questions will be answered and transparency and trust in Middletown government may be maintained. Thank you. And then on behalf of Liz Holder of 29 Long Lane in Middletown, dear Common Council members, as a member of the Conservation Commission and then the Commission on Conservation and Agriculture for many years, I know that a great deal of planning, discussion, evaluating, and research goes into the acquisition of open space. Now the Common Council is planning to sell one such property for just $1, and I worry that the same degree of care might not be part of this seemingly rushed process. As I understand the history of this property with regard to Middletown Youth Soccer, it unfolded over the last couple of decades with these steps. In 2003, a Country Club Road property was donated to Middletown Youth Soccer. In 2005, the city purchased the 18 acres from Middletown Youth Soccer to be combined with the contiguous city-owned 17-acre parcel for $200,000. The city agreed to lease the property to Middletown Youth Soccer for $1 a year for 99 years. In 2011, Middletown Youth Soccer accepted a new dollar lease agreement for 25 years, and open space funds were used to construct the soccer fields. Now, in 2022, not even halfway through the lease, the city is proposing to abandon several $100,000 worth of investment with an assessed value of over $1 million in return for a payment of $1. This does not make sense to me. I believe that the citizens who entrust the city government with the wise use of their tax dollars are owed a full explanation of how this deal will serve the long-time interests of future generations. I am alarmed that the city would give away a valuable 35-acre parcel of our city-owned land to a private organization. Privatization of taxpayer assets is a step that cannot be undone. I would ask that the Economic Development Commission and the Conservation and Agriculture Commission be allowed to weigh in regarding this proposal. The public should have adequate opportunities to review the terms of the sale. Please rescind the hurried deal to allow a careful, multifaceted process to evaluate the best interests of the city of Middletown. Sincerely, Elizabeth Holder.
All right, thank you very much. We'll go next to the chamber.
Good evening, Frank Marchese from 583 Pine Street, Middletown. I'm a board member. So we tried to clear some of this misinformation that everybody has. And it'll probably take me an hour to do that, but I'll try to do my best in whatever time I have. We started in 1974 to run Middletown Youth Soccer. So we started with like 150 kids. In a matter of 2-3 years, we went up to 1,000 kids. People loved it. We used to use Vinyl. We used to use Spencer School, Moody School, Lower Smith, Lawrence, you name it. Every school in town was used by Middletown Youth Soccer. Guess who was taking care of it? The city. Who else is going to take care of it? We taking care of the kids of Middletown. We promoting these kids to play soccer, to get off the couch and go play soccer. So we did this as a, not because we like soccer, but because we enjoy it to be with the kids and promote it. Well, things were getting a little bit too tight for us, so we started to look for land. Let's look for land. So we went to the state, lobbied the state, not the city, us, Middletown Youth Soccer. We lobbied the state. After talking to the senator, they see that we are for real. We're not fake. And people saying, oh, they have sporting, they have this, they charge $2,000. I'll tell you why. We made this, the state give us the land, but of course they can't deed it to Middletown Youth Soccer. So they're gonna deed it to the city of Middletown for use of Middletown Youth Soccer, specific. So we have Ball Lane, 17 acres of land. We started investing money with engineering, architects. We wanted to build the fields over there on Ball Lane. Well, guess what? Unfortunately, planning and zoning, the commissioner at that time, Commissioner of Veterans Affairs, he was against because we have Veteran Cemetery next door, and they say, no, you can't have soccer fields next to the cemetery. So what are we going to do now? So we have a piece of land that should be used by Middletown Youth Soccer, but of course we can't use it because they want to approve it. Well, this developer come across looking for land in medical corridor, which is Saybrook Road. Found out that this land is owned by Middletown Youth Soccer, not the city. Remember what I'm saying? Owned by Middletown Youth Soccer because the state gave it to Middletown Youth Soccer, but they had to deed it to the city of Middletown for use of Middletown Youth Soccer. Because, we don't care. As long as we could build the fields, we really didn't care. So we get this land, and the developer, he had to finagle something because you know what? He's talking about a piece of land that he had to swap it. So he had to talk to the state, the city, senators, everything. Anyway, he made it happen. So the city agreed. We had to sign off too because it was deeded to us. So we got this deeded, and we get Country Club Road. He deeded this 18 acres directly to Middletown Youth Soccer. The other 17.5 acres to the city of Middletown. But don't forget what I said before, for the use of Middletown Youth Soccer, okay? So we have 18 that we own outright, 17.5 that is city of Middletown, but for the use of Middletown Youth Soccer. So technically, we own it all right? At that time, I think it was Dominic Thornton, the mayor, we started to plan to build over there, and everything was working out pretty good. So she comes along and she said, you guys want Longview Road? Because we just purchased Longview Road. It's supposed to be a subdivision with 56 houses already
Speak into
approved.
the microphone, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. So 56 houses over there. So she said, so we're building Country Club Road. After when you have the money, you do it. So they offered us, don't forget, they offered us, we didn't ask, 299-year lease, one for Longview Road, one for Country Club Road, but we had to deed the parcel that we owned, which if we did it to the city, for maintenance purpose, that's fine. So they gave us, which I have a resolution right here, resolution of 3511 says.
I'm going to have to ask you to wrap up with what you're saying there because
okay.
You can
so,
finish, but we are at time. Just
so
with
we got the money which says here that $400,000. The city provided $400,000 to additional assistance for the construction of soccer fields in the city property. Okay. Nothing about open space. Nothing about anything.
I do have to stop you there. Sorry.
I'm done.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Your Honor,
you forgot the best.
We got to stick with the same time limits for unless there's a.
Your Honor, can I make a motion to extend it because I think it's important that we hear this. We have so much information tonight that we need to hear the full story here. I mean, I don't want to go on forever.
Sure,
understood. If we could just have him finish whatever he wanted to say. I'm not sure if he has a minute or two left, but I think it was okay
I'll
with the rest of the
second
council.
that.
Of course. So yes, there's a second from Councilman Pacina. Any discussion on that? All those in favor, please so signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right, please continue. Thank you. Thank you, Councilman.
So the resolution said, when a study former Park and Recreation Director estimated that it will cost the city of Middletown approximately $250,000 annually to run a youth soccer program with 1,000 kids. It will cost the city $250,000. We were doing it on a voluntary basis, charging $90 or whatever at the time, maybe it was even less, because we had it. So we built the Country Club Road with a 99-year lease. And then we started to build Long Hill Road too. Like the mayor said, I want to make it quick. We invested already, Middletown Youth Soccer, we say we make the money. We have records of $1.6 million between Long Hill Road and Country Club Road, 1.6. You know what the city invested in? 400 and 355 because they helped us build the fields. It was the city's responsibility to help the kids of Middletown. Listen, we are the only club in town that built the fields. No other club builds fields. Because we care about the sports, about the kids, we build the fields. Anyway, we had 299-year lease. In 2011, we changed it because, again, they come along, we didn't care. So they wanted it back to 99-year lease. We gave it back. We got 225. We got just priority lease along the road. But the bottom line is that we have fields now that middle school used. Anybody uses it because, if they come to us and they want to use it, as long as we run a program right now that I am proud to say that we are the elite club of Connecticut. When people used to leave Middletown to go play for FSA or could in other clubs, they don't have to leave Middletown. We offer right in Middletown. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We do not have any hands raised on WebEx, so we can continue in the chamber. If there's anybody who wishes to speak virtually, you can raise your hand. So anybody else wishing to speak in the public session may approach the podium.
Good evening. My name is Jill Harris, and I live at 341 Laurel Grove Road in Middletown. I'm a little nervous. I'm uncomfortable here. But as I went to come, I really thought you guys come here all the time and do uncomfortable things. So thank you to all of you. So I have a long list of things that have already been addressed, so I won't repeat any of them. And I am here to support the request to have a well-advertised citywide forum, especially because I haven't heard the good points raised by the former mayor, by the people from youth soccer, but I don't actually understand what they're trying to convey in a very short amount of time. And I would love to feel that everybody feels informed and like this has been handled with integrity. So for that reason, I request that you rescind the vote, not to say no to it, but in order to have a citywide forum where facts can be presented from both sides, questions can be asked, and everyone can feel they understand what has happened here. So thank you so much. I appreciate your time and your attention.
Thank you very much. Any other members of the public wishing to speak?
Dear Mayor and Common Council, my name is Goran Vasic. I'm Sporting CT Executive Director. I also work for City of Middletown as a part-time worker, providing a soccer clinic with my GVSA clinic. I'm here to support the takeover of Middletown Youth Soccer of the land of Country Club Road for many reasons. First of the reasons is the maintenance of the field at Country Club Road are not where they should be. We are an organization that provide soccer for kids from Middletown, also that provide soccer for kids from outside the town. I'll explain. how we work as a soccer club. We are Middletown Youth Soccer organization that used to have 3 umbrellas: Middletown Park and Rec, Middletown Magic Travel Soccer, and Sporting CT. Middletown Park and Rec Soccer is 100% kids from Middletown. Middletown Travel, we used to have 2 kids from out of town that's we allowed to bring. And then Sporting CT is advanced soccer that's not every kid can play. It's tryouts soccer where kids from other towns are welcome to come, and that's what people here in Middletown have for baseball. Right now they have for football in Cromwell and Portland, combining high schools and stuff because they don't have enough players. That's the same thing happening here in Sporting City. The reason that price is more than it is for Park and Rec and it is for Middletown Travel Soccer is because the expenses are much higher than what we do in Park and Rec and Travel Soccer. We have a tournaments that charging $1,500 per tournament that you go play outside the state. We have coaches that we need to hire. That's a professional coaches like myself that need to be paid because the other clubs around paying them the same amount of money as we do. And that's why the price is much higher. So it's not like that's Middletown Youth Soccer making the money because of that. So you need to understand that. What Middletown Youth Soccer and Sporting City bring to the city is the business from outside the state. We have every single week people from Boston, people from Rhode Island, people from New Jersey coming and playing games here. These people come into the city. Some of them sleep in hotels here. Some of them eat, now some of them, 100% of them eat in Middletown every time because they're asking us as directors to provide what restaurants, where they can go, what they can visit, how they can spend the money. So we also make money for the city. As director of the club, I have numerous questions on a weekly basis. Why the soccer grass fields are in terrible condition? Myself weed the grass in Country Club Road. Why? Because I'm embarrassed as a citizen of Middletown when the people from out of town coming to see in what shape our fields are. I wish all these people here that's against it can go to the Country Club Road and see that. Our former Mayor Giuliani has the kids and he can see with his eyes. Mr. Gino Shera has a son that's playing my program as well. He can see it. But I wish all our councilmen come there and see Saturday or Sunday. We open at 8 and we close the gate at 8. There is thousands of kids from Middletown. Yes, in the spring, it's a less Middletown kids that use Country Club Road because that's when is our busiest season and our high school teams are playing. On a fall, there is 80% of the time in the Country Club Road is used only for Middletown kids. 80% of the time we use, including turf for Park and Rec on Wednesdays, when we have over 200 kids from 5 to 7. So I would like everybody to come there and see that. It's 100%, 200 kids every single Wednesday coming there and see it. Lastly, I want to say, in the last few years, Middletown Beeman School, and Mr. James that was behind our mayor today, he's a part of our 2008 team. He's a Beeman School player, but also Sporting City player. They just won Connecticut State Cup and will be representing our state in Virginia in June 24th to 27th, and having a chance to go to nationals in the end of July in Colorado. Of that team, 14 kids will go to Xavier High School to play soccer next year. 14 kids of 28 in a roster. So Beeman High School boys didn't lose in 5 years. High school in Xavier didn't lose in 2 years. Middletown High soccer was undefeated this year. Where do you think that's come from? It come from our program. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Any other members of the public wishing to speak?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. I am Joanne Musamechi. I live at 73 Wildwood Lane, and I'm also a board member.
Could you spell your last name for the record, please?
It's M-U-S-U-M-E-C-I.
Thank you.
I am a board member of Middletown Youth Soccer. I've been volunteering for over 25 years. Middletown Youth Soccer has been nonprofit for the past 45 years, servicing all the children who wish to participate in our programs in Middletown. What most of you don't know is if this sale does get approved, if Middletown Youth Soccer ceases to exist, the land then reverts back to the city of Middletown. There's no option for us to sell the land that people have been talking about. So we just wanted to make that clear to you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other members of the public wishing to speak? Any other members of the public wishing to speak? All right, seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Just double checking WebEx. All right, seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Thank you very much, everybody, for your comments. Thank you to the council for extending the period so that we could hear from everybody. I appreciate everybody's time this evening, and we will continue on with our agenda here. At this time, I'm going to ask the council clerk to please read any appropriation requests and the certificate of the Director of Finance. There are none at this time, so I will rescind that request, Madam Clerk, and I'll recognize Councilman Faulkner for Department Committee and Commission reports and grant confirmation approvals, item 8 on the agenda. Councilman Faulkner.
Thank you, Your Honor. Resolution 8, Department Committee, Commission reports, and grant confirmation approval. 8A, City Clerk's Certificate. B, Monthly Reports, Finance Department, Transfer Report to May 24th, 2022. 8C, Recreation Department, account number 3510-32000, 5900-0321X 2022. State Summer Enrichment Grant to provide 7 weeks of free summer camp to Middletown residents based on need and referral, the equivalent of 60 children attending camp and aftercare for 7 weeks, $63,058. 8D, Board of Education, account number 2450-33000, 59405, 43480XX, miscellaneous grants, $434,971.15. 8E, Board of Education, account number 2450-33000, 52183XX, cafeteria food services, $276,448.08. 8F, Public Works, account number 3040-22000, 59200XX 2022, federal grant for FBI portion of improvements to be made to the Dingwall-Horan Fire Range, including design and construction of noise remediation, lead mitigation, and replacement of existing target systems and accompanying knee wall, bullet trap, and surface area for firing lines. Still also cover multi-purpose building for non-ballistic training, $1,680,000. 8G, Economic and Community Development, account number 3605 18500 56100 305030. Original grant, South Fire District CNR appropriation to city in the amount of $332,273. Approved November 12, 2020. Reduced by $36,193.29 to reflect actual amount expended. 8H, Office of Equal Opportunity and Diversity Management, fiscal year 21-22, third quarter employment activity report, and fiscal year 21-22, third quarter affirmative action employment hiring report. 8I, tax collector. Suspense report for personal property and motor vehicle bills dated May 10th, 2022. Move approval, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor, Councilman Pacino.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please so signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All abstaining? All right, thank you. Matter passes unanimously, and I will endeavor to be as efficient as I always try to be with my reports. First, with the American Rescue Plan Act expenditures, we heard a little bit about this earlier during questions to directors, but of course we have a number of members of the public who have joined us since then, so thank you. And we are continuing to move through our process that was determined for allocation of the Recovery Act funds that we're getting from the federal government. We have a task force set up that is reviewing applications that are submitted both by city agencies and solicited from the community. We are announced a few weeks ago that those applications are going to be paused on June 13th, as we now have more applications than we have dollars to expend. So we will be reviewing those all carefully. If there is more funding left over after they have been reviewed, we will begin the process anew. But very pleased to be have a number of items on the agenda tonight that we're going to be voting on that were approved by the task force as projects to be funded with the American Rescue Plan Act. One of those is improvements at the Russell Library, capital improvements in the library lobby. Another is the continuation of funding for the Side Street to Main Street small business development program at the Middlesex Chamber, which is their longstanding minority business development program that had previously received private sponsorship that dried up. Gilead Community Services has put forward a proposal to provide clinical care and sort of navigation services at an in-person location as well as online to help people who seek out or are trying to seek out mental health services and mental health care stay in that system. That is a $300,000 project that was recommended for funding. We are also recommending approval for the YMCA's application, which was discussed previously, and the application by DCF of Middletown, downtown development project that also received state grant funding, economic development funding, and reduced the request of the city funds in response to the receipt of that funding. So that's a really exciting partnership across public and private sectors and different levels of government. In total, we have allocated approximately $6.75 million of the approximately $21 million allocation that the City of Middletown received for projects. So we still have about $14 million that we are going to be working with. Again, we have a number of applications that the task force is reviewing. Those meetings are on the website for those who are interested in reviewing them, as well as the materials that have been submitted. So it's been a challenging process, as you all know. We appreciate the support, but it's also a remarkable opportunity to do some really important work. I'm happy to answer any questions on ARPA if there are any, and I'll thank Councilman Nocera and Pacina, as well as all of the members of our task force who have been instrumental in reviewing these applications. Any questions about ARPA? All right, hearing none. On the riverfront, I am really excited to announce that the master plan that the city has been developing with Cooper Robertson and our other partners is nearing completion and will be presented to the public for the first time at an event on July 2nd. That's the same day as the fireworks festival. It will be in the late morning that day, and you'll start to see more information about that being advertised in the coming days. But what the fact of the completion of the master plan really means is that the ideas that have come from the public, that have come from the community at the community forums that we've done at the storefront on Main Street over the past 12, 18 months or so has now been distilled into Cooper Robertson's and the city's vision for what the individual sites in the study area could and really should be. Our hope going into this planning process is that we would come out of it with an actionable plan, and that is what I believe that we're going to unveil on July 2nd. It is going to then move over to the land use office where some of the zoning language will be incorporated into the city code, and the elements of the master plan will also be handed over to the economic development and community development office, where we will work on starting a little bit further down the line, soliciting development partners to actually execute and complete the projects that are then planned. So we are really excited for that. We are hoping for a lot of public participation. Again, we'll be spreading the word to get it out, and we'll be also partnering with Middletown Area Transit, Estuary Transit, to actually get people down to the riverfront after the event. We'll be holding here at City Hall to reveal the master plan, and then we hope to have guided tours for people to go down and actually see the physical locations where these plans are being laid out. So very excited that this has been moving forward. It's been a long process, but it is as everybody knows, a major priority for this administration and for all of us up here, I think. So excited to share that. I want to thank Councilwoman Blackwell and our steering committee members, Stephen Devoto, also here, for their help with this process. And we are just at the part where I would say it's gonna get very exciting for our residents, and in terms of what they'll be seeing and the progress that we're going to be making in a tangible way. So happy to answer any questions about that if there are any. All right. Again, we'll see you on July 2nd and look forward to getting more info out about that. We'll go next to item 10 on your agenda, payment of all city bills when properly approved. I will go to Councilman Darnell Ford for a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. Payment of all city bills when properly approved. I move approval.
Second, Your Honor. Councilman Faulkner.
Thank you very much. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor, please so signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right, thank you. Matter passes unanimously, and we'll move on now to resolutions and ordinances. I believe that we have first item 11X. So I'll recognize Councilman Nocera for that. Or on, excuse me, Councilman Ford.
Thank you, Your Honor. Approving that the Common Council encourages Connecticut Governor Ned Lamont and our state legislator to take up in a timely manner and by special session, if necessary, legislation banning the sale and ownership of ghost guns or those firearms that are unserialized and untraceable, and which can be purchased in parts and assembled by eventual owner. That the Common Council urges the congressional representatives in both the United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate to pursue federal regulation to require background checks and regulations of the sale and ownership of military-style firearms and ammunition, and that the Common Council directs the appropriate city commissions and committees consider the creation of a firearm buyback program which may be funded by an initial appropriation requested of up to $10,000 for the city's general fund balance, and which shall be administered by the Middletown Police Department. I move approval, Your Honor.
Second.
Thank you very much. Seconded by Councilman McKeown. Is there any discussion? I'll start first with Councilman Nocera, followed by Councilman Gennaro.
I personally want to thank our Democratic caucus where this idea was resurrected. Councilman McEwen was first to point out that we're beyond the point of symbolic resolution to action resolutions, and then we talked further about a gun buyback program, and so I thank members of the Common Council for their support in this matter. Is obviously a serious concern for all of us. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilman. We'll go next to Councilman Gennaro.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to explain that I won't be supporting this tonight. I wanted to support it on the agenda, and it's not because I don't agree with the intent of it, and I think it was done with great intentions, with heart, for the right reasons. Unfortunately, having been in the career that I've been in for over 20 years, I see things in a different light. When I read something here saying that they want this because residents, particularly students and teachers and staff in Middletown, want to have a feeling of being secure, the threat of an active shooter, I really don't want to disappoint everybody, but that's not the reality of things. And I work in a school now, and I was an SRO for almost 6 years. So I'm torn between it. So there are things out here that I do support wholeheartedly and agree with wholeheartedly. But there are some things that I know that can't be met with that. We live in a world lately with all these active shooters that we hear about, and it's something I'm very passionate about. My children are in the schools. I work in a school. My wife is in a school. I don't believe that it's a one thing fix. In a perfect world, we could ban all guns tomorrow, all of them. Couldn't exist. I can guarantee you, we will still need security in our schools, and that is something that needs to be looked at very seriously. Feel-good things won't save children, unfortunately. There are evil hearts out there with bad intentions. And I could tell you also with the gun buybacks, having worked at the police department in evidence, a lot of the times the guns that you'll see are 100-year-old guns that are rusty and are meaningless and useless, but they're a gun, so they're getting paid. So what guns are really going off the street? Those guns that are important to get off the street come by supporting the police department, giving them proper funding to go after the bad guys with the guns that they're using to kill people. I do support a lot of these endeavors. I think they need to be hammered down to the right use of it, and we do things in a legitimate way that actually we can see results. So I just wanted to say that why I'm not, so that people understand that I'm just not against, it's not that I'm not for gun control in the proper manner. It's just I think it's a bigger discussion that we need to have with the public and with ourselves and open up to bigger discussions. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Councilman. Any further discussion? All right. Excuse me, Councilman McKeown, go ahead.
Yes, Your Honor. I firmly support this, as symbolic as it is. I think, as we're seeing in this country, the time for discussion is over. If we don't do something, we do risk lives. In the time between when this resolution was authored, there were 231 mass shootings in the United States. 4 days later, there are 246 mass shootings. Lives are at stake. It can happen anywhere. Ask the people in Uvalde. Ask the people in Buffalo. And the truth is that when there was a assault weapon ban in the United States, these kind of attacks were reduced dramatically. The truth is, when the state of Connecticut passed strict gun control laws, the incidence of these kind of attacks was reduced drastically. So I do think it's our obligation, even though we don't have much power to do anything, buyback program is what we can do, but we can urge the people who have the power to do it to do the work that needs to be done. Thank you, Your Honor. I'll support it.
Thank you, Councilman. We'll go next to Councilman Pacino.
Thank you, Your Honor. I had a little discussion with Chief Costa when we had the break, and I'm going to support this resolution. And our officers, we are very, very, and I'll say it one more time, very lucky that we have the department, a police department. Being on the Public Safety Commission, we are privy to different comments from the public and from the police department themselves on the number of weapons they take off on legitimate motor vehicle stops, on legitimate premises that they're on. So this buyback program will you know, the criminal ain't going to run up and say, well, here's my gun. I'm not going to do it anymore. That's silliness. What this does is it gives an opportunity for somebody in a home that has a gun that's not really familiar how to utilize it, that's around, that they don't secure properly, that's when in a household where children are. So it's an opportunity for those individuals to give up a weapon of any kind, to the police department. What that does is, at that moment in time, is it tells the police department that this particular residence, this particular neighborhood, understands the call, understands the tragedies that are ripping our nation. As early as today, there was another one. But what I'm going to tell you is that any weapon off the street, any weapon out of a household diminishes a situation where someone could really get hurt or killed in the hands of a child or whatever. Follow the law, secure that gun, and if you can't secure it, turn it over and move on. There's too many issues, and I support that. The state really needs to really look at that. Time for action is now. Time for action is now. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilman. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, I will call the roll for this vote. Starting to my left, Councilman Mangiafico to start.
Aye.
Councilman Mangiafico, aye. Councilman Ed Ford.
Aye.
Councilman Ford, aye. Councilman Pacina.
Aye.
Councilman Pacina, aye. Councilman McKeown.
Aye.
Councilman McKeown, aye. Councilman Lafredo.
Aye.
Councilman Lafredo, aye. Councilwoman Carta.
Aye.
Councilwoman Carta, aye. Councilman Nocera.
Aye.
Councilman Nocera, aye. Councilwoman Blackwell.
Aye.
Councilwoman Blackwell, aye. Councilman Darnell Ford.
Aye.
Councilman Darnell Ford, aye. Councilman Faulkner.
Aye.
Councilman Faulkner, aye. Councilman Gennaro.
Nay.
Councilman Gennaro, nay. Councilwoman Slafia.
Nay.
Councilwoman Slafia, nay. I have 10 ayes and 2 nays, and the matter is passed. Thank you very much, everybody. All right, we are moving on next in our amended agenda to item 11Q, which is the appointment of Kevin Elak as Director of Health. I'll recognize Councilman Ed Ford for a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. Approving the appointment of Kevin Elak to the position of Director of Health and Vital Statistics, salary grade 17, step 5, $58.03, 40 hours, defined executive non-bargaining, and that this appointment shall take effect upon adoption. I move approval, and I'd like to speak to it.
Second, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Seconded by Councilman Pacina. Councilman Ford, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just want to briefly congratulate Director Elak. This is absolutely well-deserved. I believe that the comments that were spoken earlier were spot on. I know that early on in the pandemic, you set up shop in neighborhoods all across the town and helping people to get vaccinated and become educated on the vaccine who had some vaccine hesitancy. And seeing that was huge. People just wanted us to go out and to really communicate with them and not just kind of throw all this new information at them, but really walk them through it, and you did that. So I believe that this position, out of all the other things that you did over the past 2 years, is absolutely, you have certainly proven to the city that you are capable of leading us and leading our health department in this way. So thank you for what you've done, and I look forward to seeing more of what you will do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Ford. We'll continue with discussion with Councilman Nocera, followed by Councilman Faulkner.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll be very brief, but obviously we want to take this opportunity to thank Kevin for everything. This has been an incredibly difficult past 2.5 years, and we're still fighting the battle. we could not have done this without your leadership and your committee and people behind you. You know, the old saying, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Thank you, Kevin, for all that you've done for us. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilman. We'll go next to Councilman Faulkner, followed by Councilman Pacino.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is a long time coming, and I've been thinking, well, what's going on? But congratulations to you. I want to thank you very much from our community, because as we revealed that there was disparities in the health industry regarding the people of color, you instantaneously realized that and did something that is not done all the time, which was separate out our statistics so you could look at our particular group. And that's been very beneficial. And we've been able to target our marketing towards taking the vaccine to our community. So I thank you very much for that. Good job.
Thank you, Councilman. I'll go to Councilman Pacino, followed by Councilman McKeown.
Thank you, Your Honor. As you know, Your Honor, when we were hit with this, you started the coordinated call, and we met every Wednesday. I think I kept track. It was over 100 and some Wednesdays we went through, and Kevin really played such a significant role, because it was a health emergency. And who better than you need is the leadership of your health department, not the mayor's office, not the council. And we put it together, a soup. We put it together, and where every segment of our population was taken care of. Our homeless, our minority population, all kinds of issues would come up every Wednesday. And who would always be on the affirmative and be able to lead us and be able to make some quick decisions and research and come back? That, Kevin, is impressive. And you had just taken over from Doc Havlicek, who was another great director. So I am so thrilled to be sitting here at this dais and to be able to approve your appointment, because you showed your mettle. And you showed your mettle at a time when our city government, all of us, no political parties, was faced with such a medical emergency that we got through it. Bumps and bruises, but we got through it. Your credit, buddy. Your credit, and you deserve this office. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. We'll go to Councilman McKeown next.
Yes, Your Honor. I have been singing Kevin's praises for the past 2 years. It was definitely a trial by fire, and he passed it with flying colors. It's not over yet, Kevin, as you know, and we're still going through it. But he did something more in that 2 years, if you can believe it, more than take us through a pandemic that we had no idea what we were getting into. He went and got his certification at the same time. And I think for the city, that's an important thing for us to take into account, that he not only did the job and did it well, but made sure, even in those troubled times, that he would get the certification so that he could be appointed. I know it's a state requirement, but I think it's important for all positions that we have people with the certification needed for the position. So, Kevin, well-deserved, and congratulations.
Thank you, Councilman. Is there any other discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor of the appointment of Kevin Elak as the Director of the Department of Health and Vital Statistics, please so signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Congratulations, Kevin.
Thank you so much. I know I mentioned it earlier during the questions to directors meeting, but I first want to thank the mayor for your leadership. We kind of came into this pandemic together, right? And we figured it out, working together, everybody throughout the community. So I appreciate you trusting in me, and when you asked for my advice on something, that you usually took it. So thank you very much, and also to all of the council members here. Again, I know I mentioned it earlier, but each and every one of you, I know I spoke to on an individual basis at some point during the pandemic. So your kind words really do mean a lot, and that's what really sustained me and kept me going. Those nights and weekends where I would come home just mentally and physically exhausted and have to do a paper for my master's program or something like that. A lot of tough times, but I got through it just knowing that what I was doing was appreciated in the community. So that really means a lot. Thank you very much. And then, of course, I want to thank my staff as well. They're such a hardworking individuals in our office, and I'm very proud to work with such talented people, so I want to thank them as well. And finally, I just want to thank my family, my wife, and 3 kids. And I know they're watching there on WebEx right now, along with my mom and sisters back in New York. So I want to thank you guys, too, for your support along the way as well. And then finally, I know they were here before, but they had left, but our Medical Reserve Corps was here. A lot of the members were here before as well, so I want to thank them for their support as well. I think I spent more time with them than I did my actual family during all of our vaccine clinics, so I do treat them as friends and really family as well, so I want to thank them as well. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Council. Just a quick point of personal privilege. Kevin is right. We came into this at similar times, and I was thinking earlier about how it was a few months into all of our term that somebody, it was Councilman Nocera or maybe Councilman McKeown, said, I know this is a little bit unusual. It's not typical, but I think we actually need to have the health department of all things at the next council meeting to report on what's going on overseas at that time. And at that point, Dr. Havlicek was preparing to retire, and it was Kevin who even then was before us as public health manager. And the difference, between the two of us in that span of a few months is that I didn't know what I was signing up for, and you accepted this position of leadership willingly, and knowing, as Councilman McKeown pointed out, that you would have to get that credential in order to do so. So not only did you accept, the gauntlet when it was thrown, you took on extra responsibilities to make sure that you could keep that leadership position and stick with us throughout this entire process and now for the years ahead. So thank you and congratulations and well deserved. So next, let's do that again, shall we? For item 11R, appointing Chris Holden as Director of Public Works, I will recognize Councilman Pacina for a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. This is another great appointment. Before I read the resolution, I knew Chris when I was a deputy chief on the police department and rose up through the ranks. Chris was working for the water department, and he did such a fabulous job. When we learned that he was moving over to Public Works, I got a little nervous, but I'm happy you did. So it's my extreme pleasure to read this resolution. Approving the appointment of Christopher Holden to the position of Director of Public Works, salary grade 21, step 5, $68.84, 40 hours, defined executive non-bargaining, and that the appointment shall take effect upon adoption. I so move, and we'll speak to it, Your Honor. Second.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councilman.
Thank you. Chris, I think
We need a second.
Second, Councilman Ed Ford.
Thank you.
Chris, with his engineering background and some of the projects that Councilman Nacera and I have been involved with over this term, you know, the rec center, the parks, the multi-use trail, the new vets pool, and the splash pad that's coming, everything he puts his hands on, you know when he speaks because he does research. And his background is made so much with the intent of getting it right. And what I like about him the most, Your Honor, is that he's really open to suggestions. He may not give you an answer right away because you could see his mind thinking about it. And he will come up with solutions that us on the Public Works Commission can utilize and put into effect, knowing that we have a now director who was really Billy Russo's right-hand man on all the projects that Billy did. So what better person to take over than to Chris Holden? You heard the comments today that some of the public made. And I mean this from my heart, Chris. You're easy to work with, you listen, and you follow up. And that's what's important for the next era of our Public Works Department. I have confidence in you, and I know my colleagues here, especially Gene and I, have confidence in your ability. So take the torch, run it, and keep doing what you're doing to a greater height. Thank you for your service to the city, buddy. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Councilman. We'll go next to Councilman Nocera, followed by Councilman Lafredo.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll be brief, but I echo everything that Councilman Pacino just said. I truly appreciate the level of expertise that Chris brings to the office. He's a very knowledgeable director. He's careful with his advice. He researches what we need, and he gets back to you. And yes, I have him on speed dial. And private joke here, I have Councilwoman Blackwell calls me at 7:30, but Chris Holden calls me 8:30, and Gabriel will say, it's Chris Holden, pick up the phone. It's a private joke. I really rely on our talks daily. And just one final comment. When I worked with Chris for the past 2 terms, and his office has a million things going on. In addition to, we have the Parks Bond, which is wonderful to have for our city, but a lot of work is added, and the Rec Center. Those are addition to the everyday operations that are overwhelming. So thank you for all you do. It's amazing. We have a grand slam in both departments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. We'll go next to Councilman Lafredo, followed by Councilwoman Blackwell.
Thank you, Your Honor. I've also echoed the comments made by my colleagues regarding Chris's appointment, but in particular have had the opportunity to work closely with him in a couple of areas. As a member of the Clean Energy Task Force, Chris serves as staff to that task force in all the work that they're attempted to do and the research involved there in providing the leadership and staffing of that particular commission. In addition, I got a call several weeks after we were sworn in, and from the majority leader saying, by the way, there's a particular committee we still haven't filled yet. Firing Range Building Committee, which has been around for quite a while. So myself and Councilman Darnell Ford and Phil Pacina, the three of us were appointed to that committee and working, so I serve as chair of that committee. That committee is still moving along. It's on the agenda here this evening in terms of moving it forward. Hopefully, we have had a few steps forward and one step or two backwards, but we're back moving forward again. So anyways, Chris has provided some outstanding leadership, and I just want for the record, having worked with him and seen him in action up close in terms of helping to move the process along, he's an excellent choice and will serve the city well. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilman. We'll go next to Councilwoman Blackwell, followed by Councilman McKeown.
Thank you, Your Honor, and certainly not to belabor the point this evening. I echo all of the sentiments that have been shared by my colleagues this evening, and Director Holden, congratulations. I am in full support of your appointment, and I've had the opportunity to reach out to talk with Director Holden about several issues. He prepared his first budget this year and did a great job on that as well. We were able to talk about his commitment to hiring people of color and women in positions of leadership, and I know that you're committed to that, and so I really wanted to make that statement this evening, and thank you for your leadership, and again, congratulations.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman McKeown.
Yes, Your Honor. Again, I'll keep it brief, but I've gotten to know Chris on the Public Works Committee. Two very positive things is that he brings to the office a professionalism with his certification and his education and puts City Hall on the path to professionalism in yet another department, and I think that's important. He's easy to work with. The other thing I like about it, I walk the city between 6 and 7 in the morning, and quite often I'll be walking down the street and a car or a truck will pull up next to me, and Chris is out there already. It's like, Councilman, how you doing? What's going on? You know, so he is working early in the morning, and I know because we attend meetings together, he works late at night. So, Chris, congratulations. It's well deserved. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman. Any further discussion?
Bring back the candy dish.
Noted. Bring back the candy dish. All right. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the appointment of Chris Holden as Director of Public Works, please so signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Matter passes unanimously. Chris, congratulations.
Thank you very much. I am honored to take this position. It's a great department. Our guys are just amazing team that we have. As if you're at Pride, you could see how hard everybody's working late into the night. Also, I'd like to thank the mayor. Thank you for having confidence over the past 6 months and the past couple of years that we've been working together. I know that we are at the precipice of doing some great things, changing some of the thinking in the city and creating a more sustainable workforce. I'd like to thank the council for appointing me tonight. I enjoy working with everyone on all the different building committees and commissions that we work together with. And I'd like to thank my family, my wife, and my mother-in-law, who supports Unbelievable and allows me to be able to have the dedication I do to the city and to keep being able to make the impact that I do. Thank you very much.
Just to drive quickly home 3 things that you've heard. One, how hardworking this director and the whole department is. It is the Public Works folks, Nick and Kenny, who are just out in the lobby, who keep us safe and clean here, even at these long meetings, and do the same, of course, out on the streets. And so thank you, Chris, for leading a great team. Number two, it's a busy enough department as it is, but it cannot be overemphasized that we are in a period of maintenance and new construction at public facilities that we have not seen in this city in at least a generation. And there is an incredible amount of public works work underway, both proactive, forward-looking, and sort of deferred stuff that we're working on getting fixed. And so it is an extraordinary period of time. You know, the pandemic's been in the headlines, of course, but we are faced with equally challenging, monumental challenges in a lot of other areas. And so the work continues in good fashion. And just lastly, Chris's work with the Clean Energy Task Force and his other efforts around sustainability is also making the Public Works Department really the locus of the city's forward-looking sustainability efforts. That is going to become, already is, and will continue to become more so a citywide effort, but really has its home in Public Works thanks to Chris's efforts. So congratulations to you both again, and looking forward to the years ahead. So thank you. And thank you, Council, for your confidence and for all of your support and for the continued partnership. So without further ado, we'll return to item 11A on our agenda here, and I will recognize Councilman Pacina once again for a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. 11A, approving a loan in the amount of $1 million from Water Fund account number 5,000-6000-30,310 -40-50-40-30 to the Sewer Fund account number 2050-50-30,310 40s, 50s, 40s, and 30s, that the Sewer Department shall repay the loan as revenue to the Sewer Fund balance becomes available, and that the Sewer Department shall repay the Water Fund loan within 1 year, no later than June 30th, 2023. I so move.
Second, Your Honor. Councilman Faulkner.
Thank you very much. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right, thank you. Matter passes unanimously. And for item 11B, I will recognize Councilman McKeown.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution approving that the unexpended balance of the 2021-2022 Board of Education budget be placed in a non-lapsing account, providing such amount does not exceed 2% of the total budgeted appropriation for execution for such prior fiscal year, pursuant to the Connecticut General Statutes, Section 10-248A. Thank you, Your Honor. So moved.
Second, Your Honor. Alfredo.
Thank you very much. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Thank you very much. Matter passes unanimously. For item 11C, I will recognize Councilman Ed Ford.
Thank you, Your Honor. Item 11C, approving that resolution number 23-22, which was approved on March 7th, 2022, and which awarded $47,950 from the fiscal year 21-22 Art Support Services grant funds to various arts projects, be amended to reflect that grant recipient Joe Fonda has declined a $1,000 award, and that those funds remain in the Office of Arts and Culture's grant budget line, 1,026,500-59,200-0722-XXX until the end of this fiscal year 21-22. I move approval.
Second, Your Honor. Councilman Pacina.
Thank you very much. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All abstaining? Thank you. Matter passes unanimously. For item 11D, I will recognize Councilman Gennaro.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have item D, approving that as requested by the Land Use Department, the $140,344 of the agricultural grants FY23 be allocated as follows for project support. And just want to make note that I might mispronounce a couple of these names here, so if anybody knows the actual pronunciation, let me know. Organization of Five Star Performance Horses LLC by Aaron Cicchini, 21,000. Higgins Farms Incorporated, Leonard Higgins, 22,000. Mains in Motion is Therapeutic Riding, D. Goodrich, 22,000. Fresh Farms, Maya Tillman, Robert Sanborn, 3,344. Forest City Farms, Gabe Russo, 22,000. Hilldale Farm, Barbara Shikoski, 6,000. River Ridge Farm and Market, Dakota Rudloff Eastman, 22,000. Ox Oak Farm 2, Linda Liberia, 22,000, for a total of 140,344. And that any organization receiving an agricultural grant shall receive such funds in the forms of a reimbursement upon verification of compliance with the scope of the project and of expense receipts provided by the organizations. I move approval, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor. Councilman Faulkner.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? All right, thank you. Matter passes unanimously. And for item 11E, I'll recognize Councilwoman Slavia.
Thank you. Approving that the mayor is authorized to execute all necessary documents to acquire the 1.59 acre property located at Military Road, map 11, lot 0662, as open space, and to do any and all other acts to effectuate the foregoing, following review and approval as to content and form by the Office of General Counsel. I so move.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, Councilman Nocera.
Thank you. Seconded by Councilman Nocera. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Thank you very much. For item 11F, I'll recognize Councilman Ed McKeown.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution approving that the following funds be closed and any monies remaining be transferred to debt service and any cash needs be transferred from debt service. 4013, BI Public Parking Improvements, $0. 4027, Military Museum, $0. 4619, BI Force Main and Pump Station Water from Mattabasset, $0. And 4622, BI Mattabasset Region Force Main Pump, $0. So moved.
Second, Your Honor. Councilman Basina.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? Abstaining? Thank you very much. Matter passes unanimously. And for item 11G, I'll recognize Councilman Lafredo.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution, whereas at the regular meeting on May 2nd, 2022, the Common Council approved Resolution 48-22 of authorizing the mayor to sign all documents or agreements necessary to the transfer to Middletown Youth Soccer two parcels known respectively as 395 Country Club Road, map 07, lot 0497, and Country Club Road, map 07, lot 0498. And whereas the Resolution 48-22 is approved, specifies that this land transfer requires approval of documents as to content and form by the Office of General Counsel and payment of $1 to the city by Middletown Youth Soccer. And whereas the Code of Ordinances of the City of Middletown prescribe at Chapter 232, Public Property, Article 2, Sale of Public Property, Section 232-4 and 232-42 inclusive, that there is an exclusive process for the city to dispose of real property, namely that this responsibility is vested exclusively with the City of Middletown's Economic Development Committee. And whereas prior to negotiations and to sell any public property, the Code of Ordinances of the City of Middletown requires at Section 232-7, Economic Development Committee procedures prior to negotiations, that the Commission steps will be taken under the direction of the Economic Development Commission, namely the Economic Development Committee will A, request determination of the fair market value from the Assessor's Office, B, request Connecticut General Statute Section 8-24 review by the Planning and Zoning Commission, C, request a title search from the City's General Counsel, D, request comments from the following city departments: General Counsel, economic community development, land use, assessor, tax collector, finance, public works, water and sewer, police, fire, and health. And E, determine whether or not the subject property or properties are surplus and not needed by the city in the future. If that is determined, the Economic Development Committee shall post a public notice or a formal request for proposals, RFP, with the town clerk in a newspaper having a general circulation in the city, and if appropriate, in a trade journal, as well as on the city website. And public access television, the Economic Development shall also hold a public hearing. And if there is more than one potential buyer, the Economic Development Commission may at its discretion pursue a competitive bid process. In addition, if an agreement is reached, a public hearing will be held before the Economic Development Committee and subsequently by the Common Council. And whereas the Code of Ordinances of the city does not prescribe any alternative process and or authority to divest the city of real property, the only process waiver being initiated by the Economic Development pursuant to Section 232-13 waiver. Now therefore be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Middletown that since the proposed transfer/sale to Middletown Youth Soccer of two parcels known respectively as 395 Country Club Road, map 07, lot 0497, and Country Club Road 07, lot 0498 was not referred to and or otherwise brought to the attention of the Economic Development as prescribed in the Code of Ordinances of the City of Middletown in Chapter 232 Public Property Article Sale of Public Property, so that the Economic Development could exercise its fiduciary responsibility, Resolution 4822, which authorized the proposed sale of these parcels to Middletown Youth Soccer for $1, as approved by the Common Council on May 2nd, 2022, is hereby rescinded. I move approval of the resolution, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? We'll start with Councilman Nocera.
Thank you, Your Honor. First, I want to thank everyone who spoke this evening on the land transfer issue at Country Club Road. We certainly appreciate your comments, and we respect everyone's opinion on this matter. I will not be supporting the request to rescind our vote from last month's Common Council meeting that approved the land transfer to Middletown Youth Soccer, and I'd like this opportunity to explain my reasoning. First, with regard to the requirement that this matter pass through Economic and Development Committee, our legal department has advised us that this is not required. I believe that it's important to point out that Middletown Youth Soccer is currently in a lease with the City of Middletown for the property at Country Club Road until 2062. This current lease requires that the City of Middletown provide most, if not all, the maintenance of the fields at Country Club Road. And you've heard from Middletown Youth Soccer their dissatisfaction with this. We are doing our best for all of our fields, particularly with regard to our new fields added through the Parks Bond. But we are required to cut the grass at Country Club Road weekly. We're required to do the necessary grass repair, overseeding the grass when necessary, sanding the fields when necessary, repair the gravel parking lot when necessary, repair the fencing if it needs to be repaired. Installation of the portable toilets and monthly cleaning is our responsibility currently with this lease. Lining the fields, the grass fields weekly, picking up trash, and all general maintenance required on a weekly basis. Our city staff are currently at the site almost daily. We're doing our best. Our city's budgetary estimate of $80,000 a year to maintain Country Club Road is just that. It's an estimate. I believe that the cost of maintenance at Country Club Road annually is far more than $80,000 estimate when you factor in the time of staff going to the site. I want to commend the staff and our Public Works Department for the past years trying to do their best with this situation. This land transfer turns over the maintenance costs to Middletown Youth Soccer and the major renovation costs that are required in the future at this site that are estimated to be in the millions of dollars. That include the future site does need bathroom facilities and a septic system to be installed at Country Club Road, regrading and paving the parking lot, a pavilion construction, construction of concession stand, bleacher installation, new fencing, and other items that are deemed necessary. I want to acknowledge, as Goran indicated, my grandchildren use the current field. And I want to commend Goran, too, because, by the way, he runs a 3-, 4-, and 5-year-old clinic. Can you imagine that? 3-, 4-, and 5-year-old clinic through the rec department. And Carter and Gabriel are involved. Sebi is involved in the older league. The city of Middletown has always had an outstanding relationship with Middletown Youth Soccer for many, many years, and they have worked with the city in every way they can to provide access to their fields when they're available. Currently, Beaman Middle School, under construction, use their fields. Middletown High School, and on and on. You could ask Brian Young, who's involved with the scheduling, whenever our schools need help. Middletown Youth Soccer was there to help us. They weren't denied access to these fields, ever. It goes without saying that the thousands and thousands of young men and women have benefited from Middletown Youth Soccer programs and access to their fields. This land transfer, in my opinion, is a win-win-win for the city of Middletown, for Middletown Youth Soccer, and our children. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilman. Any further discussion? Councilman Faulkner.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was pretty comfortable with my vote last month because what I was hearing didn't add up. It was way out of balance, and no one actually mentioned the original purchase, original agreement, and the fact that they actually moved to allow us to have developers come in and build those develop that medical center area there, which I know has to be bringing in quite a bit of property taxes for us. I see, and I want to definitely thank Middletown Youth Soccer for coming in. Frank's email came to me, and I read the whole thing, and I saw the picture. So I'm leaning towards approving, letting them do what they need to do. And especially, I think I heard that it won't be sold to somebody else. That's big as well, as far as I'm concerned. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll go next to Councilman Gennaro, followed by Councilman Lafredo.
Thank you, Your Honor. So I want to thank Middletown Youth Soccer coming out tonight, too. I played Middletown Youth Soccer from 5 years old, and my kids played for youth soccer. They played for Sporting, and I can attest to the comments that they made tonight about the status of those fields. Many a nights that we spent out there, standing there watching our kids practice, freezing, having discussions with parents, talking about the sad shape of the fields and the predicament they were in was very frustrating. Now, traveling to other cities and seeing how they supported their soccer fields and how nice they were from a mixture of turf, so that when you have humongous storms, you can still play. So they're accurate what they're saying tonight, and the information that they provided us is why I'm going to keep my vote the same. It was the same as last time based on the information I read. It doesn't mean that I'm against not having open spaces. That's important. But when you look at the facts of the situation and how they were handled in the past and where we are today and where we need to go in the future, this needs to move forward. They should be supported more for what they've given to this city. And I think those that are not sure about the situation or not supporting it, I think the more that they do learn in the future about what they do, the situation out there, how it's used, I don't think these lands are being contaminated. So it's important that we keep Middletown Youth Soccer at the forefront for the city. They do a great job with the kids. My kids no longer play for them. It's been a few years. They've moved on to high school and middle school, and they're doing different things now. But they had a great experience with Middletown Youth Soccer since they were little as well. And they've helped thousands of kids do great in this city. And it'd be a shame to not let them improve these fields so they can start even exceeding what they've already done. So I'd urge those who voted to give them the land last time to keep their vote the same, and those who didn't, like Councilman Faulkner just mentioned, after giving the historical information, to support it, to support them. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilman. We'll go next to Councilman Lafredo, followed by Councilwoman Blackwell.
Thank you, Your Honor. The issue before us is not an evaluation. There may be done by the Public Works Department regarding the day-to-day operation and the evaluation of their responsibilities on the city side and on the side of Middletown Youth Soccer for the maintenance of the current field. The issue before us is a sale of city-owned property. Just like you and I maybe have been involved in the purchase of property for ourselves or our family, we as the fiduciary body of this community have a responsibility to make sure that when public land is being sold, that it's done in a transparent, open, and fully vetted manner. That did not occur in this process to date, partly because the ordinance regarding the sale of public property was not followed. It did not happen because while, as the public record, based on our questions to directors at the last meeting of May 2nd indicates, the Attorney Smith, on behalf of the city, states that the resolution does a good job spelling out what is a long and complicated history. They've spent some years talking with Middletown Soccer. It became clear over the years that it would be better for them to operate their own operations rather than the city. What is before the council is a purchase-sale agreement with information on the lease agreements. So clearly, within City Hall, it was known for some time that the possibility of a sale of public property was going to be necessary or be seriously considered. And there's a clear, explicit ordinance clearly indicating how that process is to be entertained. It's interesting that when you examine the history of this project and look at the first resolution dealing with the 99-year lease, which was introduced at Resolution 4805, and at that time, the city's bond council, $400,000, the 17-acre parcel of land on the corner, so it's dealing with the land, $400,000, grants money. And at the end of the day, whereas the city's $400,000 will result in the city owning property with a complex that will be valued at $2.1 million after final completion. And it goes on further how the $200,000 or the $400,000 to be expended. And it's introduced by Gerald Daly of the Economic Development Committee. Now, the resolution also to the ordinance was recently regarding the sale of public property, Chapter 232, Public Property, Article 2, Sale of Public Property. It most recently got amended, And May 13th, 2021, a year ago, that's when we added or took out the planning, conservation, development aspect and set that up. And that was, of course, reviewed by the General Counsel Commission on May 13th. So it's sort of disturbing to me, as a long-time serving member on this council for various times, that for some reason, the explicit, clear way that we should be handling or dealing with the possible sale of public property was not followed. I guess by chance this evening, the process did begin this evening. Unfortunately, it still raised a lot of questions that were not adequately resolved by all the folks here in attendance. We've heard different aspects of the presentation. This is not the way we should be doing city business. This is important business. We all have various committees and commissions that we're assigned to. It's a 5-member commission that's made up 3 Democrats, 2 Republicans, bipartisan. The committee doesn't have exclusive authority, but it lays out clearly a process and procedure in which we deal with, in an open, fair, transparent manner, in how we are to deal with the potential sale of property. Regrettably, that did not occur. I did bring it to the attention of the mayor shortly after the action was taken and brought to his attention that the process requires the committee to be noticed. At no time did the economic development receive proper notice from either the buyers or the sellers regarding this property. Not at all. So, ladies and gentlemen of the council, we leave. Why this is not the way we take an oath of office, and part of that oath is to make sure that we're handling the city business in a way as prescribed by either our city charter or by our code of ordinances. I urge members to support the resolution before you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilman. We'll go next to Councilwoman Blackwell, followed by Councilwoman Slafia.
Thank you, Your Honor. I want to first and foremost say thank you to the Middletown Youth Soccer for coming this evening. I have been enlightened. It has been really great to hear the opposing perspectives, the opposing views on this issue. I think it's not debatable that Middletown Youth Soccer has made tremendous contributions to children and families in this city. We all know the value of children playing sports. None of those issues, I think, are debatable. The area that I am still grappling with is the fact that the city paid, if I've reviewed my materials correctly, the city paid about $400,000 to Middletown Youth Soccer, and now we want to sell the land for $1. So that's the part that I'm grappling with and that I cannot support this evening. And so I will be voting in support of this resolution, but I thought it was important to make sure I conveyed the importance of having the Middletown Youth Soccer board here, and Mr. Martise in particular. I voted to expand your time because I was really intrigued by the details that you shared this evening. You really had a great historical perspective. And I think it's just really unfortunate that back in May, some of the history we really didn't have, and so I've appreciated your testimony this evening. Again, I will be supporting this resolution today. For all the reasons that I just articulated. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. We'll go next to Councilwoman Slafia. All yours.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. I'm not going to debate anymore the pros and cons of this actual transaction. I think I support the transaction. I just want to point out, though, that again, we pick and choose what rules we want to follow. We make them up as we go along, it seems, a lot of times. Now, we just appointed 2 gentlemen to positions where we haven't approved their job descriptions. And their job descriptions, when we approve them tonight, won't go into effect
for 10 days or 15 days, whatever it is. But we appointed them to those positions anyway. And from what I understand was there was a need to do this. Well, not really, because once they were appointed acting, whatever changes to the job descriptions and whatever processes happen. Okay, fine. I'm voting yes for this, and again, just say, if we're going to pick and choose processes, we need to do it across the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Blackwell.
Thank you, Your Honor. I neglected to mention that I did specifically ask Attorney Briggs Smith, if the land could be sold once Middletown Youth Soccer purchases it, and the answer was yes, although I heard testimony this evening that the land cannot be sold. So can someone please clarify?
No.
Can someone please clarify if the land can be sold?
We would have to alter the rules if you're going to question directors now. And we've done this. We're making things up as we go along.
No, it can't be sold.
I would support
for others.
Brig.
Thank
I would support Brig coming up and answering.
Make a motion, get it seconded, and we vote.
I'd like to make a motion for Attorney Briggs Smith to come to the podium to answer my question, please.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Faulkner. Any discussion? All those in favor, please so signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right, thank you very much.
Aye.
Okay, excuse me, I'm sorry. Any opposed?
Rule.
Councilwoman Slafia, okay. Great, thank you.
Did Councilwoman Salapia just vote nay?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm going to read the job descriptions. What is my doing? Remember those job
Bear with me, I'm looking for the provision that I have in mind.
Thank you.
All right, the answer is that the property may be sold, but it is with a restrictive covenant in place. So if it is sold, it's subject to the following: that it would have to be used for the purposes of creating, maintaining and using soccer fields, recreational amenities, including without limitation concessions, open space, and associated improvements related to the use of the property as soccer fields, recreational amenities, and open space, including but not limited to parking and lighting. And if that is violated, then it does revert back to the city. It doesn't mean that it can't be sold. It does mean that if it is sold, it has to be subject to that covenant.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Gennaro.
Rick, so, Attorney Smith, so in short, if this group sells it, it sells to new owners that are going to still be Middletown Youth Soccer, or some, whatever they want to call it, as long as it's still youth soccer for the city. Correct? Basically?
It would have to comply with that covenant, yes. So it'd have to be similar purposes to what it is right now.
So this guy sells it to this guy, it's still Middletown Youth Soccer, correct? I just want to make sure it's clear in my mind. Basically, because of the covenant.
It would be probably called something differently, but as long as the purpose is largely the same, then it would comply with the
They
covenant.
could put whatever name they want, but it has to be the same, basically, function of soccer. No?
It would have to be, I mean, so again, the restriction is creating, maintaining, and using soccer fields, recreational amenities, including without limitation concessions, open space, and associated improvements related to the use of property as soccer fields, recreational amenities, and open space. So I think yes.
You say soccer field, so they can't just keep it a soccer field and throw frisbees on it. Or they could do that.
So in law
Make it
school,
field hockey or
in law
whatever.
school, you have to answer hypothetical questions. In the practice of law, you try to avoid it. So I'm trying to picture frisbee soccer.
Yeah, well, I was a cop, so I could talk around that.
Okay.
I pulled over attorneys before, so go ahead.
Can I plead the fifth? I mean,
Yeah, you could.
am I
You
am I in
could.
custody
You
right
could
now?
get found guilty later on. So, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So it would still say soccer basically. That's, but we could also have negotiated with them some kind of clear writing legally saying that if they were to have to fold because of whatever issue, that they came to the city first and make sure we got the land back or whatever.
There
so
could
that
have
we-
been, in theory, there could have been a right of first refusal or something like that. There is not in this case. There's just the restrictive covenant.
We just have them saying that they're not planning on do that. And they've been there now for what, 40-something years, 45 years, 50 years? So they've always been here, and it's always been soccer, so I don't see the need to worry about it switching to something else. But I just want to be clear on that part, that it's not going to change to some other, we're not going to put a carnival up in the location or start building houses or condos. It would stay a sporting venue in a similar capacity it's in now. Okay. I'm saying yes, so you don't want to say no, but okay. I got you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Brig. Councilman Pacino, next we'll go to you.
Thank you. Brig, they could only sell just the fields part. The 18 acres, I believe, that is open space could not be sold.
No, they could sell the entirety.
Right, okay. I, as a commercial guy, go to them and say, I like this land. I want to put a business there. It's close to 91. It's excellent. Can they sell it to me for that purpose?
If it's not used for the recreational purposes, soccer purposes, no. It would violate the restrictive covenant and come back to the city.
So the answer is simple. It has to be recreational type of activity. There's no big profit there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman McKeown.
Recreational facilities. Trampoline park?
Recreational amenities is the term.
Trampoline park?
Yeah.
Would that fit in there?
I would say let's read
Bocce fields, I'm just, it's not, I think the question is asked specifically, will it be soccer? The answer has to be no, it can be recreational.
recreational amenities.
Amenities, what does that mean?
So let's listen to the definition. Okay. For the purposes of creating, maintaining, and using soccer fields, recreational amenities, including without limitation concessions, which I think is meant to be ancillary to, supportive of the principal purpose of creating, maintaining, and using soccer fields, open space, and associated improvements related to the use of the property as soccer fields, recreational amenities, and open space.
So it's only amenities related to soccer fields, that's your opinion, that's what you're.
I think it is. It's supposed to be related to creating, maintaining, and using soccer fields.
Okay.
Yeah, I misspoke. So one of the cardinal sins you make in interpretation is paraphrasing, and so I used the term recreational facility, which would be a very different thing. I think the amenity, at least as it's used here, is not meant to be a freestanding, insert sport here, a separate facility. I think it's meant to be supportive of the primary purpose. That's my read, anyways.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Councilman LaFredo.
Yeah, just for the record this evening, it was a question I asked at the May meeting regarding whether or not fair market value, an assessment was made of the value of the property. At that time, your answer was no, that was not. Is that still the standing answer?
With the caveat that the assessment that was made wasn't, based on the assessment cards, but based on the maintenance costs based on the bonding language, based on the other sunk
In
costs.
terms of the land value, if you were to put it on the market and advertise it as.
For sure, no, that was
That
not,
was not
the basis for the consideration, for sure. Correct.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Your Honor, if I could call the question, we're only halfway through this agenda.
Mike.
We need to have a microphone.
Hey,
for the
I'm sorry.
speaker, please.
If I could call the question, we're only halfway through this agenda. Okay. Anyone else?
Any other council members wishing to speak? I do see that
Thank you, Your Honor.
you had the floor, Councilman, so continue if you.
Oh, I did?
I believe you did.
Okay, I'll maintain the floor. I want to start, I don't, is this questions now, or are we making statements?
Well, the council has voted to reopen questions to directors, I guess.
It's only questions now.
So, and there needs, yeah, so that is true. So the question's been called and we need to do it.
There's another speaker and we can't hear that person with the microphone.
All right, so the question's been called. Under the rules, we do need to take a vote, and a 2/3 vote will.
What is the question being called on, we can clarify? Can we get our parliamentarian tell us what we're?
That would be the vote, the underlying motion that we are considering.
The underlying.
The motion that's been made and seconded, yes. The motion.
My colleague is not allowing, by calling the question, is not allowing full commentary from all people on the common council.
Point of order, Your Honor. I think the Attorney Ryan is trying to speak to explain some stuff. Maybe that'll help.
Yeah.
Mayor, calling a question simply means that the proponent of that is asking for a vote, and of course, you need a second. You need a motion which has been made, a second, and then it has to be a 2/3 vote of the body.
Right, and the function and the purpose of calling the question would be to end debate and move to a vote on the resolution being discussed.
That's correct. And the motion has been made and it has to be addressed.
So the motion was made by. Excuse me. Continue.
Assuming it gets a second.
Council, Madam Clerk, did you have a question?
Well, I'm keeping track of the speakers and not everybody has necessarily had a chance to speak. And I don't know whether that's an issue and that would be something Dan would have to answer. So far, only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, only 7 council members have spoken. Well, 6 council members have spoken.
But one of the council people have made a motion to call the question.
Correct.
And assuming it gets a second and a 2/3 vote, then that has to be addressed.
Second to call the question.
Thank you. It's been seconded by Councilwoman Salafia, so I will call the roll. A yes vote is a vote to end debate and to vote on the motion. Councilman Mangiafico.
Yes.
Councilman Mangiafico, yes. Councilman Ed Ford. Yes. Councilman Ed Ford, yes. Councilman Pacina. Yes. Councilman Pacina, yes. Councilman McKeown. Nay. Councilman McKeown, nay. Councilman Lafredo.
Nay.
Councilman Lafredo, nay. Councilwoman Carta.
Yes.
Councilwoman Carta, yes. Councilman Nocera.
Yes.
Councilman Nocera, yes. Councilwoman Blackwell. Yes. Councilman Darnell Ford.
Yes.
Yes, excuse me,
Did I
Councilman.
hear Councilwoman Blackwell's vote?
That was, yes, my mistake. Councilman Darnell Ford, yes. Councilman Faulkner.
Nay.
Councilman Faulkner, nay. Councilman Gennaro.
Yes.
Councilman Gennaro, yes. Councilwoman Salafia.
Yes.
Councilwoman Salafia, yes. I have 9 votes in favor and 3 against, which I believe carries. And the question is, that is a 2/3 majority if I'm not mistaken, so the question is called and we will move to a vote on the underlying resolution. A yes vote is a vote to stop the sale, to clarify, and a no vote is to proceed. So a yes vote is to rescind the action taken at the last meeting. Once again, I will call the roll. Councilman Mangiafico.
Nay.
Councilman Mangiafico, nay. Councilman Ed Ford.
Nay.
Councilman Ed Ford, nay. Councilman Pacina.
Nay.
Councilman Pacina, nay. Councilman McKeown. Councilman McKeown, aye. Councilman Lafredo.
Aye.
Councilman Lafredo, aye. Councilwoman Carta.
Nay.
Councilwoman Carta, nay. Councilman Nocera.
Nay.
Councilman Nocera, nay. Councilwoman Blackwell. Councilwoman Blackwell, aye. Councilman Darnell Ford.
Nay.
Councilman Darnell Ford, nay. Councilman Faulkner.
Aye.
Councilman Faulkner, aye. Councilman Gennaro.
Nay.
Councilman Gennaro, nay. Councilwoman Salafia.
Nay.
Councilwoman Salafia, nay. I have 4 votes in the affirmative, 8 votes against, and the matter fails.
Point of order, Your Honor. I'd like to speak to the call to question. We just had a lecture at the beginning of the meeting about everyone being able to have their say. And so when a colleague calls a question without everybody having the appropriate ability to voice their opinion, it is flies in the face of what we just talked about at the beginning of the meeting, and I resent it. Thank you, Your Honor.
Understood.
Mayor, unfortunately, under parliamentarian rules, a member has the right to call the question at any point, and
That's not
as
true.
long as they get a second and a 2/3 vote, the question is called. And that's what happened. And that's parliamentary procedure. It can happen at any point, regardless of how many people are still waiting to speak.
It set a precedent, I'll tell you that.
Well, it's parliamentary procedure.
It set a precedent. Set a precedent.
Understood. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Corporation Counsel Ryan. Madam Clerk, did you have a question? Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, everybody. We'll move on our agenda here. I know that there will be, I appreciate, again, all the public comment on this matter and look forward to continuing that dialogue going forward. Moving on to item 11H, I will recognize Councilwoman Jeanette Blackwell.
Thank you, Your Honor. Resolution H. Approving that the mayor is authorized to sign and submit an application to the state of Connecticut for a grant in the amount of $45,000 in local capital projects improvement program funds for the cost of install, repairs, and renovations of 180 Johnson Street loading docks, and that a new line item be created in the capital improvement plan entitled 180 Johnson Street loading dock repair in the amount of $45,000. I move approval, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Second, Your Honor.
Thank you. Seconded by Councilman Pacina. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor, please so signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right, thank you very much. Moving on to item 11I, I'll recognize Councilman Darnell Ford.
Thank you, Your Honor. Approving that the mayor is authorized to sign and submit an application to the state of Connecticut for a grant in the amount of $17,000 in LOSIP Capital Project Improvement Program funds for the cost and install of a Mitsubishi Hyper Heat ductless in the Middletown Police Informational Technological Department, and that a new line item be created in the capital improvement plan entitled MPD Hyper Heat Mini Split Install in the amount of $17,000. I move approval, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor, Councilman Pacina.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All abstaining? All right, thank you. Matter passes unanimously. For item 11J, I will recognize Councilman Lafredo.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution approving a memorandum of agreement between the City of Middletown and the Federal Bureau of Investigation regarding the sharing renovation costs in the use of the Dingwall-Horan Joint Firearms Training Facility, and authorizing the mayor to sign said document, subject to review and approval by the Office of General Counsel as to form and content. I move approval and ask to speak to the matter.
Second, Your Honor, Councilman Pacina.
Thank you. Please.
Thank you, Your Honor. So this is another step moving forward, as I mentioned during the confirmation of the appointment of Chris Holden. Just one note that if by chance in the course of approving the document and so forth, the term MOU is mentioned. It should be changed back to Memorandum of Agreement and not a Memorandum of Understanding. So I want to thank the FBI. Just for the record, note that they did inform us that they have reviewed the matter before us this evening and that they are in agreement with this document for us to do it. So we're all on the same page. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the committee members again for their hard work on this. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please so signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All abstaining? All right, thank you. Matter passes unanimously, and we'll move on to item K. I'll recognize Councilwoman Salafia for a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution. Be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Middletown that the job description of Assessment Aid Technician 2, maximum salary grade 8, range $22.59 per hour to $33.46 per hour, 40 hours, AFSCME Local Number 466, is hereby approved for the corresponding job description revisions and no change in salary. The revisions of this job description and salary for this position shall be effective upon adoption. Fiscal impact none, submitted by Councilwoman Megan Carter, Chair, reviewed and approved by General Counsel Commission at its meeting held on May 12, 2022. I will refrain from reading the whole job description change, even though we've set a precedent of reading resolutions in full into the agenda. I so move. Into the record. I so move.
Second, Your Honor, Councilman General.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed? All abstaining? All right, thank you. For item 11L, I will once again recognize Councilwoman Salafia.
I have a resolution. Be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Middletown that the job description of Deputy Director of Public Works, maximum salary grade 18, salary range $42.74 to $63.28, 40 hours, UPSU, is hereby approved with the corresponding job description revisions and salary increase to salary grade 19, range $44.67 to $66.11, 40 hours, UPSU. The revisions of this job description and salary for this position shall be effective upon adoption. The fiscal impact is up to $5,886.40, split between fiscal year 21-22 and the next fiscal year 22-23. Submitted by Councilwoman Megan Carter, Chair, reviewed by the General Counsel Commission at its meeting held on May 12, 2022. And again, I will refrain from reading the whole job description into the record.
Second, Your Honor, Councilman General.
Thank you very much. Any discussion on that? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstaining? All right, thank you very much. Matter passes unanimously. For item M, I'll recognize Councilwoman Blackwell.
Thank you, Your Honor. Item M, approving the job description of Director of Public Works, Maximus salary grade 21, starting at $49.74 to $73.60, 40 hours, non-bargaining with the corresponding job description revisions and no change in salary. The revisions of this job description and salary for this position shall be effective upon adoption. I move approval, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor, Councilman Pacina.
Thank you very much. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. All opposed? All abstaining? All right, matter passes unanimously. And for item N, I'll recognize Councilwoman Blackwell once again.
Thank you, Your Honor. Approving the job description of Director of Health Vital Statistics, Maximus salary grade 17, starting at $41.92 to $62.07, 40 hours, executive, non-bargaining with the corresponding job description revisions and no change in salary. The revisions of this job description and salary for this position shall be effective upon adoption. I move approval, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor,
Thank
Councilman
you.
Pacina.
Thank you very much. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Thank you very much. Moving on to item O, we'll go next to Councilman Carta.
Thank you, Your Honor. Approving the job description of Director of Economic and Community Development, maximum salary grade 20, $46.57 to $68.92, 40 hours, up Sioux Local 6457, with the corresponding job description revisions and no change in salary. The revisions of this job description and salary for this position shall be effective upon adoption. Move approval.
Second,
Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Seconded by Councilman Faulkner. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? All right. Thank you. Matter passes unanimously. And moving on, I'll recognize Councilman Carta once again for item P.
Point of order, Your Honor.
Yes, Councilman Lafredo.
So we are moving forward on dealing with two separate positions overseeing two separate departments. I'm just requesting that we handle the question as P1 and P2, divide the question, and so we have a discussion, debate on each one. If there's no conflict, could we handle it in that fashion?
Sure. We'll make the motion. I believe that we can introduce that as a friendly
I would so move that we divide the question or handle each P. So it would be general counsel and then stating the change and so forth in separate job description, and then director of finance. So it would be a P1 and a P2.
Understood. Okay. Well, we'll have Councilwoman Carter read the motion, and then that can be we can amend it formally. But yes, there will be no problem taking.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Two separate votes. Yeah. Thank you.
I just want to.
Question, is it going to be two separate votes, or will it ultimately be divided into two separate resolutions?
Councilwoman Carter has the floor, and I'm going to ask her to read the resolution.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes.
Approving that the salary grade of the General Counsel and Director of Finance and Revenue Services Executive Non-Bargaining Grade 23, Step 6 be updated to Non-Bargaining Salary Grade 25, Step 6 on July 1st, 2022. I move approval and like to speak to it, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor, Councilman Pacino.
All right, thank you.
So as my colleagues have suggested, I would like to offer a friendly amendment that we do divide these two positions. We vote on them separately. P1 being the upgrade to General Counsel and P2 being the upgrade to Director of Finance and Revenue Services.
I'll second that, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you very much. So there is an amendment suggested by the maker of the motion and seconded by Councilman Lafredo to take two separate votes. Is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right. Thank you very much. We will move first to discuss and then vote on item 11P1, upgrade of the Finance Director and General Counsel position. Councilwoman, did you have anything further? Okay. All right. Any discussion on that?
Just, Your Honor. So in terms of all of the changes that have been made here in this job description, they've been vetted, clarified. There's a substantial number of them, and that the understanding is then we are going to upgrade this by two steps. Is that right? Two classifications? Currently, it's at 23, going to go to 25. Is that my understanding?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So, all right. I have just on both of these, but I'll bring the question up. I'm aware, and I think everybody else in the council knows, that each of these departments has, in addition to the general counsel person, we also have two deputies in each of these departments. And to my knowledge, these departments act very closely in terms of sharing the responsibilities. Do you anticipate going forward, if we move forward on these, that those particular positions may need to be modified or adjusted at some point going forward for the fact that you have two other positions? So I'm just raising that as looking at and approving of this. Are we recognizing that we may also be setting a situation where we're going to have to take a serious look at also upgrading the deputies in those two offices as well?
It's a good question. Thank you. I don't believe so. I think that potentially that could be an administrative or a budgetary consideration. It's not something that I think necessarily needs to be put forward at this time. We did encounter when we were making the adjustments to the job descriptions recently approved that there was an issue in a different department where a non-executive member of that department was at a higher step than that person's superior, and so that did get corrected in the changes to those job descriptions, but that was in a different department, and that issue doesn't exist to my view in these departments, and potentially that could be a decision in the
I
future.
view it as a potential prospective issue that should be looked at. That's all I'm raising. Thank you, Your Honor.
Understood. Yeah, and certainly something from a global standpoint, I will add as well in terms of salaries that it's been some time since that's been looked at globally, as we've discussed, and worth revisiting that at some point. But yes, thank you for the question. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll move to a vote first, again, on upgrade for Finance Director, Director of Finance and Revenue Services. All those in favor of said upgrade, please so signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right, thank you. Matter passes unanimously, and we'll move on now to General Counsel. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those, or we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining. All right, thank you very much, everybody, and we will move on next to item S. I'll recognize Councilman Faulkner for that motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. Approving the 2022 Community Development Block Grant CDBG entitlement appropriations. First, we'll have the reprogramming of projects that had leftover funds. Decrease Columbus House energy efficiency, $371.83. Gilead replacement roof, $200. Neat Farmers Market, $695.46. City of Middletown Program Administration, $8,048.96. YMCA Teen Program, $227.79. Futures Micro Enterprise Assistance, $3,530.32. Odd Fellows Roof Replacement, $380. Odd Fellows HVAC Replacement, $600. Middlesex Community College Magic Food Bus, $648.44. Clean Energy Task Force Housing Improvements, $15,000. Grace and Mercy Ministries Homeless Shelter, $15,000, for a total decrease of $44,702.80. Increase. All the increases in this category are for the YMCA HVAC men's residence, and that's a total of $44,702.80. Current year programming funds will be awarded to Women and Family Services Sexual Assault Crisis Program for $10,000. Middletown Housing Authority Maplewood Terrace Paving, $100,000. YMCA Fire Protection Equipment Replacement, $23,000. YMCA HVAC Men's Residence, $65,396.48. St. Vincent de Paul Amazing Grace Food, $15,000. City of Middletown Warming Shelter, $17,000. Gilead Community Services Magnolia Home HVAC, $10,500. Russell Library Career Program, $1,675. Middlesex Community College Magic School Bus, $7,825. Odd Fellows Scholarships Youth Arts Program, $6,000. Odd Fellows Projector Installation Morgan Theater, $37,915. City of Middletown Farmers Market, $10,000. Futures Inc. energy efficiency, $21,276. Middletown Fire Department, active violence equipment, $34,413. City of Middletown Program Administration, $90,000, for a total of $450,000.48. That's for current CDBG funds. And YMCA HEVAC men's residence. I believe this is an increase of $33,420.72. And that the mayor, as chief executive officer of the city of Middletown, is hereby authorized to submit a new 2022 annual action plan to access $498,124 of CDBG entitlement funding, reprogramming of prior year's unspent dollars and program income, and that a new consolidated plan may be approved to reflect community development block grant programs approved by the Common Council and changing priorities of present and future potential grant recipients. Move approval, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilman. Is there a second?
Second, Councilman Nocera.
Thank you. Any discussion? Yes.
Your Honor,
Councilman
point
Pacino.
of order. As a board member of Gilead Community Services, I'm going to recuse myself from this vote, in particular those two, the Magnolia Home HVAC and the roof replacement only.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Councilman Ford.
Yeah, I'm also going to recuse myself as well, just because I'm a member of the Oddfellows Board of Directors. So
Okay. Thank you
for that
very
reason, I'll be
much.
recusing. Yep.
Any further discussion?
I'll be abstaining as well because of my connection to Gilead.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any further discussion? All right. Thank you. We will move to a vote. All those in favor, please so signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? All abstaining.
Abstain.
Thank you very much. We have three recusals, Councilman Ed Ford, Councilman Pacino, Councilman McKeown, and the matter passes unanimously. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll move on to item 11T. I'll recognize again Councilwoman Carter for a motion.
Thank you, Your Honor. Approving the following program for submission to the Commissioner of the State of Connecticut, Department of Revenue Services, on or before July 1st, 2022, pursuant to General Statutes 12-228A, Neighborhood Assistance Act. Organization, Mercy High School. Program title, Enhanced Energy Management. Funding request, $150,000. Move approval, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? All right. Thank you. For item U, I will recognize Councilman Gennaro.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have an ordinance approving an amendment to Chapter 272, Taxation, of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Middletown, replacing Section 272-9.5, Real Estate Tax Fixing Agreement for Newfield Apartments in its entirety. Move approval, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Any discussion on that? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? All right. Thank you very much. For item V, I will recognize Councilman Nocera.
Thank you, Your Honor. I enthusiastically support approving the American Rescue Act Task Force recommendations to fund the following projects in the following amounts. Russell Library, applicant Russell Library. Description: this project will provide the critical infrastructure necessary to create safe, healthy space for people all ages to gather in person, free of charge, in order to build back trust, connection, support networks, and it will bring in high-traffic lobby and public restrooms up to code and ADA standards. The library will provide beautiful, flexible, and healthy areas where people of all ages can once again enjoy one another's company and nurture strong intergenerational relationships. This project will create space to display Middletown's businesses, artisans, entrepreneurs, thereby fostering and thriving local economic ecosystem. The lobby of Russell Library will become a bustling Town Square, amount $250,000. B, Middlesex Chamber of Commerce, applicant Middlesex Chamber of Commerce. Description, the goal of Side Street to Main Street Business and Leadership Development Program is to help participants become more successful by developing the attitude, skills, and qualities necessary to affect business ownership and success, taking them from the side streets to Main Street of the business community in the amount of $181,290. Gilead Community Service, applicant Gilead Community Service. Description, Gilead is seeking to partner with the City of Middletown to address the growing need to promote mental health awareness and wellness in a community experiencing prolonged isolation and loss from COVID pandemic and ongoing firsthand exposure to a large contingent of homeless and untreated people, and the typical tragedy and ongoing stress that is experienced by many citizens in the city and city employees in the amount of $299,826.22. Northern Middlesex YMCA, applicant Northern Middlesex YMCA. Description, the project includes installing a gas Weiner VRF and the roof-mounted outdoor ventilation system that will provide heating and cooling in the 3 preschool classrooms and office areas and kitchen in the amount of $350,000. Recreation and Community Service, Arts and Culture, and Russell Library. They were the applicant. There was a Scribner's error there. Description, the Arts and Culture and Recreation Community Service and Russell Library Division will excel at engaging the community and will play a vital role in this period of recovery. The aim of the project is to create pro-social opportunities that rebuild a sense of community and provide healthy activities in the amount of $491,400. And the mayor will, the mayor will authorize, prepare, and execute any documents necessary to effectuate the American Rescue Act funding, respect to the approval and content informed by the Office of General Counsel. There's a final approval. The American Rescue Act Task Force recommends that the approval of the following project in the following amount based on the applicants submitted to the task force. DCF of Middletown LLC, applicant DCF of Middletown LLC. Description, this rehabilitation of 418 to 422, 428, and 584 Main Street to develop 6 businesses that will create roughly 220 full-time equivalent jobs downtown. The 3 buildings will also create 22 apartments in the amount of $2,536,300. And the mayor will authorize to prepare and execute any documents necessary to effectuate this American Rescue Act plan grant funding, subject to approval as to the content and form by the Office of General Counsel. I move approval, Your Honor. I'd like to speak briefly.
Second, Your Honor.
Point of
Pacino.
order, Your Honor. There was, I think, 2 items read together. I think they were separate items that have to be voted on separately according to our agenda.
I think that we have this separately, that last item, Councilman Sarah, is item separate, as item W,
Yes,
so.
you're right,
We have to strike that
Okay.
item, and we will revisit that as a separate motion.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I'll be recusing myself on the Gilead Community Services.
Thank you.
As a board member.
If I could just speak briefly to this item, I know it's late. I just want
We
to.
need a second.
Seconded by Councilman Pacino, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yep. Thank you.
I want to thank the mayor for establishing an outstanding committee of councilmanic representatives, and of course, general counsel and business leaders and private organizations. This has been a grueling process, but a very rewarding one to get us to this point. And the council will be seeing soon other applicants. The benefits that our community is going to draw from this are immense. And many years from now, we'll remember our activity and involvement in this initiative. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. Councilman McKeown, did you?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. I enthusiastically support all of these grants. I am not able to vote on them because they're grouped together, and my wife works at Gilead, so I have to abstain. But I do want to say that, including the Gilead one, I support them enthusiastically, but I cannot vote. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilman. Any further discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining?
Abstain.
Thank you very much. Matter passes unanimously with one abstention. Councilman McKeown. All right.
I think, didn't Councilman Pacina say he was recusing
Oh,
himself?
excuse me.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Yes.
Two recusals.
Yep.
Okay, moving on next to item W.
Yeah.
One more time, Councilman
Approving the
Nocera.
American Rescue Act Task Force recommendation and approval of the following project and the following amount based on the applicant's submission to the task force. DCF of Middletown LLC, applicant DCF of Middletown LLC. Description: this rehabilitation of 418 to 422, 428, and 584 Main Street to develop 6 small businesses that will create roughly 220 of full-time equivalent jobs downtown. The 3 buildings will also create 22 apartments in the amount of $2,536,300. And the mayor is authorized to prepare and execute any documents necessary to effectuate the American Rescue Plan Act grant funding, subject to approval as to the content and form by the Office of General Counsel. I move approval, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor, Councilman Pacina.
Thank you. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All abstaining? All right, thank you very much. Matter passes unanimously. We're excited to get those projects underway. That last one is underway, as those who have been in Mullally Plaza recently have seen. And last but not least, I do have 2 appointments to bring forward. One to the Resource Recycling Advisory Committee, appointing Nicole Charles to be a regular member to the balance of a 5-year term ending April 22nd, 2023, filling the vacancy created by the resignation of Stephen Allison. And to the Water Pollution Control Authority, Anthony Mazzata to be appointed as a regular member to the balance of a 5-year term ending July 31st, 2024, filling the vacancy created by the resignation of John Giuliano.
Move approval, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Councilman Lafredo.
Thank you very much. Made by Councilman Lafredo, seconded by Councilman Faulkner. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Your Honor, if I could have a moment of personal privilege.
Yes.
I do want to express my regret for getting angry during the debate tonight, but I also want to say that the call to question was handled improperly. The call to question can only be handled by the person who has the floor. I had the floor at the moment. The parliamentarian failed us in that, and I just want to make it clear that in the future, if a call to question is handled, it has to be handled by someone who is recognized on the floor. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is there a motion, anything further, or a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Any discussion? There can be none. All those in favor, please say aye. All right, thank you, everybody. Have a good night, and thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you to our Sergeant at Arms. Thank you to staff and everybody, as always. We will see you soon.